Chapter 371, Goddess Kuan Breeder. Inheritance. From ancient god Kuan Breeder? What's that? Asked Lan Qingyue to Wang Xian with surprise. Take it and you'll know. Wang Xian chuckled. Shu Qing possesses the fire elemental talent in her cultivation because she has the Suzaku blood essence. Towards the later stage of her cultivation, she can evolve into one of the great races in this universe. Suzaku, this ancient god Kuan Breeder's inheritance, is as good as Suzaku. Suzaku, ancient god Kuan Breeder? Lan Qingyue was filled with disbelief. She did not know about ancient god Kuan Breeder, but she knew about Suzaku. That was the most powerful divine beast among the myths, the legendary phoenix. Blood essence of Suzaku. Guan Shu Qing was taken by surprise. Wang Xian did not shed light on the blood essence of Suzaku to her. But when she thought of the mighty and domineering phoenix she sometimes dreamt of, all her doubts were finally answered. So I have the blood essence of Suzaku. No wonder I've noticed I have the natural ability to control fires ever since that time. I don't even feel the pain when boiling water is spilled on me. My cultivation speed is breakneck. Even Master told me that I'm a rare genius in cultivation. Guan Shuqing said, enlightened. This is the effect of the blood essence of Suzaku. It is most likely because you obtain the inheritance of Suzaku that your strength is boosted. Wang Xian was uncertain as he spoke. Guan Shuqing had absorbed the blood essence of Suzaku. Still, he was unsure if she had obtained the inheritance of Suzaku. However, Lan Qingyue would get the inheritance of ancient god Kuan Breeder after she absorbed the essence soul. She would learn all the secrets about the art of cultivation from the ancient god race. Lan Qingyue took the essence soul of ancient god Kuan Breeder from Wang Xian and popped it into her mouth. As the essence soul entered her body, immense energy was exuded from her body. A bout of quaint, dignified, vintage aura slowly dispersed to the surroundings from her body. With a thought, Lan Qingyue sat on the bed with her legs crossed as she accepted the inheritance of ancient god Kuan Breeder. Her strength is rapidly improving. Within seconds, she has attained half-step to inborn realm. If she possesses the entire inheritance, her strength can hit level 11. Wang Xian was also shocked as he observed the increasing power of Lan Qingyue. A drop of almost diminishing blood essence, yet contained such domineering energy. No doubt the ancient god clan was powerful. That was why supreme class races and clans had to join hands in wiping them out. Let's go. We shall leave Qingyue alone. Wang Xian climbed out from his bed and whispered to Guan Shuqing. When they walked out of the bedroom, Sun Lingxiu threw a beaming face as she stared at Wang Xian and Guan Shuqing. Xiao Xian, you better pay attention to your health. Wang Xian was slightly stunned as Sun Lingxiu sounded as if she intended more than what she said. He smiled. He did not have to move, so there was absolutely no problem. Dragon King, the Anomalocaris, and swordfish races are willing to join the Dragon Palace. At this time, a venomous sea snake swam over to Wang Xian and reported respectfully. Did they agree to join? A trace of happiness was exhibited on Wang Xian's face. He quickly asked, have they all jumped over the dragon gate? Yes, all of them did. So we gave them 2 choices. Either we kill them, or they join the dragon sect. They chose the latter. The voice of the venomous sea snake continued to be heard. Wang Xian giggled. During the battle, he had already taken notice of those 2 strange races. From their eyes, he could see intelligent radiance. Moreover, Wang Xian felt the power of thunder from the Anomalocaris. As for the swordfish race, they had the metallic radiance. Both races possessed elemental attacks. Out of those races that had besieged them yesterday, only Anomalocaris and swordfish race came with attack properties. Even as mighty as Pliosaurus, Dunkleosteus, and Mega Teeth Shark were, they did not have it. All they had was a powerful bloodline. Bring them over. Yes, Dragon King. The venomous sea snake made a swift movement and swam out of the Dragon King hall. Wang Xian smiled as he sat on the dragon throne. Guan Shuqing and Sun Lingxiu witnessed the amazing scene with flickering eyes as they stared at Wang Xian with admiration. Greetings to the Dragon King. Soon, a level 11 bluish Anomalocaris, with flashing radiance of thunder at its two front limbs, led about 200 Anomalocaris over. They swam over and bowed on the floor with respect. Hundreds of swordfish were floating above the ground as they shouted in synchrony. Wang Xian swept his gaze across them with a satisfying expression. The prawn species was a compelling race. Just take the most common mantis shrimps, for example. Their two massive forelimbs could strike with great power. It was so powerful that they could break the aquarium glass. The Anomalocaris before him had similar forelimbs as the mantis shrimps. In addition, they had terrifying thunder attribution. Beside them were swordfish, a very common marine species. But the swordfish race before them was very different. They had a protruding part on their heads, which seemed like razor-sharp swords, giving off a metallic radiance. Any creatures would be killed if they were to be pierced by it. Count yourself lucky to join the Dragon Palace. After the other members of the Dragon Palace are resurrected, I'll assign your departments. Now, here's your opportunity. Wang Xian slowly stood up and imparted upon them the cultivation arts of metal dragon transformation and thunder dragon transformation. After this, he looked towards the 9 venomous sea snakes. Take them to the dragon transformation pool for dragon blood baptism. The 9 of you will guard the Dragon Palace now. After Prime Minister Turtle and the rest are resurrected, you'll also have your dragon blood baptism in the dragon transformation pool. Thank you, Dragon King. The Anomalocaris and swordfish were looking excited as they quickly replied at the top of their lungs. Go on. Wang Xian waved them off. Wow, Xiao Xian, you looked so impressive just now. Dragon King, that's so cool. When Guan Shuqing saw the majestic-looking Wang Xian, she walked over with admiration and smiles as she spoke. Hee, of course. Wang Xian chuckled. What do you want to eat? You must be hungry. Let's get some food. For the next 2 days, Wang Xian recuperated in the Dragon Palace. Lan Qingyue, who had been receiving her inheritance, suddenly opened her eyes when Wang Xian was sleeping after Guan Shuqing rode on top of him. A huge beast flashed across her eyes. A torrent of controlled and terrifying energy was filling her body. The majestic, quaint, and magnificent aura surrounded her. But as soon as she spotted Wang Xian and Guan Shuqing by her side, she rolled her eyes. She walked out of the bedroom with a beaming face, but she knit her eyebrows slightly as soon as she saw the Anomalocaris and swordfish races. But after she lifted her chin and saw the blue whale swimming above the Dragon Palace, her eyes were filled with a pleasant surprise. Chapter 372. Whale Kuin. Kuin was one of the 5 strongest and most fearsome monsters in the universe. Its body could grow to over a few thousand miles. When in the water, they could swim. When in the air, they could transform into a rock and fly. It was truly an existence, feared by many. Kuin were bred to be warring creatures by the ancient god race, one of the most elite races in the universe. The breeding and nurturing of Kuin was also the core secret in the ancient god race and their biggest reliance. Lan Qingyue's eyes were filled with excitement as she stared at the blue whale that was swimming above the Dragon Palace. The breeding of a Kuin will require a great amount of energy. From birth till it grows to a few thousand miles in size, the amount of energy required is beyond imagination. In the breeding of Kuin, the most important aspects would be energy extraction and bloodline refining. The more the Kuin eats, the faster its power could grow. Therefore, a Kuin is also commonly referred to as a devouring Kuin. A blue whale needs to consume 4 to 8 tons of food each day. This amount of energy is just sufficient for its daily usage and doesn't include the extraction of energy and refining the blood of what it consumed. Moreover, the bloodline of the blue whale is very pure. It does not possess any tinge of bloodline from strong races, and therefore won't face the same limits that were imposed in some bloodlines. Through the arts of Kuin breeding, it can grow into an exceptionally powerful Kuin in the future. Lan Qingyue mumbled to herself as she stared hard at the blue whale. Her eyes were shimmering with a strange glow, and she seemed capable of seeing through the blue whale. Let's try breeding it. Lan Qingyue looked at the dragon blood in the dragon transforming pool and was filled with excitement. Soon after, she left the dragon palace through the southern gate. Lan Qingyue was fast, and she faced no resistance in the water. She had a mysterious aura around her, and this made her, who was already beautiful, even more elegant. Oh, when Lan Qingyue approached the blue whale, the gigantic blue whale seemed to have felt something. It turned its gigantic head towards Lan Qingyue instantly. Oh, the blue whale ejected a stream of bubbles from its blowhole. It wanted to be closer to Lan Qingyue, using its head as it could feel a sense of familiarity and closeness with her. Lan Qingyue smiled when she saw this. As an ancient god Kuin breeder, she had a disposition about her that made all beasts feel close to her. The energy in the blue whale is comparable to an inborn expert. However, it did not activate it. As a result, even though it has an enormous body, it is still very weak. Lan Qingyue said softly as she places her hands onto the blue whale's body. A drop of blood from her hand landed on the blue whale's head. Immediately, a stream of decadent and grayish energy started flowing from Lan Qingyue's hand and encompassed the entire whale. Oh, the blue whale was swaying its body slightly, causing turbulence in the water. Within his body, huge transformations were ongoing. The skeletal structure of the blue whale wasn't very strong. As the grayish energy flowed into its body started to decay fast. Its bones, flesh, organs, and skin started to be mortified. The energy in its bones, flesh, organs, and skin were extracted, and this enormous amount of energy flowed into the blue whale's blood. Its blood was being refined rapidly, and the red and viscous blood started to emit a faint glow. Soon after, the glowing blood started to flow throughout the blue whale's body. The whole process lasted for about an hour, and the blue whale's skin now looked tougher. A decadent scent could be picked up instantly. It was just like a zombie that had died a few thousand years ago. Breeding Kuin has some similarities with zombies. Lan Qingyue exclaimed as she witnessed the drastic changes happening to the whale. Zombies were simply from the corpses of ordinary people. When one died, it could be transformed into an invincible zombie through special rituals. The current conditions of the blue whale were similar to a zombie, but also had differences. The whale still possessed strong intelligence and vitality. Ancient god Kuin breeder had been making use of such tough methods to breed a creature with a normal bloodline into an exceptionally strong Kuin. The strength of the blue whale is now only at the inborn realm. I will get some dragon blood from Shaoxian later. In this way, I can raise the level of the blue whale to level 11. Lan Qingyue squinted her eyes. Through this, she would be able to help Shaoxian in the future. Oh, Master. At this moment, the blue whale, which was beside Lan Qingyue, let out a soft moan. All right. It seems like you have fully received the cultivation arts of Kuin. From now onwards, I shall be calling you Xiao Lan. Lan Qingyue said to the blue whale with a bright smile. Yes, master. Xiao Lan nodded its head and replied. Its gigantic body remained behind Lan Qingyue as a display of deference. Xiao Xian is awake. You can just hang around here now. Lan Qingyue looked in the direction of the Dragon Palace and saw Wang Xian. The next instant, she went over to the Dragon King Hall rapidly. Xiao Xian, what's the matter, Qingyue? Wang Xian knew Lan Qingyue had woken up as he did not see Lan Qingyue when he opened his eyes. He then started to scrutinize her from head to toe. I'm fine. Lan Qingyue pounced into the embrace of Wang Xian ecstatically. Xiao Xian, I have reached the Dan realm currently after accepting the inheritance of the ancient god race. Look there. Xiao Xian, that is Xiaolan, my first Kuan. She pointed at the blue whale which was outside the dragon palace as she spoke. Is it? Wang Xian was astonished. She could start breeding a Kuan right after accepting the inheritance of the ancient god race. These ancient god Kuan breeders were indeed terrifying. Yeah, Xiaolan is now in the inborn realm. It also has a strong defense, so strong that even Dan realm creatures couldn't injure it. Xiao Xian, can you give me some dragon blood? With it, I can strengthen it to level 11. Lan Qingyue remarked with a sense of accomplishment. You could bring it to level 11 with just some dragon blood. Wang Xian was dumbfounded. This speed of leveling was a little insane. Yeah. Lan Qingyue nodded her head heavily. All right, follow me. I'll go get some for you. Wang Xian nodded his head, after which he carried Lan Qingyue as he flew towards the dragon transforming pool. How much do you need? Wang Xian looked at the dragon blood inside the pool and asked with a bright smile. There was lots of dragon blood in the pool, but the dragon blood was just level 11. The level of the blood was dependent on the blood of the creatures it was absorbed from. The stronger the creatures, the higher the level of the refined dragon blood. About 1,000 caddies will suffice, Lan Qingyue said with a smile. The next moment, she waved her arm and extracted a stream of dragon blood. Wang Xian nodded his head. 1,000 caddies of dragon blood wasn't much. The dragon transformation pool had over 10 tons of dragon blood. These were the refined products of the corpses and blood of creatures that had previously attacked the dragon palace. Let's go. I'd like to take a look at the Kuan you are breeding. Wang Xian and Lan Qingyue moved and arrived beside the blue whale. With a wave of her arm, Lan Qingyue directed the dragon blood she extracted previously into the body of the blue whale directly. Chapter 373, Immortal Substance. Roar. Above the dragon palace, the blue whale let out a roar like an overlord. Its gigantic body looked even more robust than ever. The biggest change was found at its head and mouth. After swallowing the dragon blood, its head became sharper with enormous teeth growing out from its mouth. The head of the blue whale was huge, occupying 2/5 of the entire body mass. That meant that its head could reach a dozen meters when it was more than 30 meters long. Each tooth was about 3 or 4 meters. All of them were gray, creepy-looking, and extremely durable. What a huge change! If it has enough blood, wouldn't we be able to nurture a powerful Kuan rapidly? Whale Kuan, level 11, unable to extract dragon energy. When Wang Xian read the information, he was appalled by the speedy evolution process. It was even faster than those members from the Dragon Palace who went to the Dragon Transformation Pool. Xiao Xian, the level of the Kuan has got something to do with my ability. The Kuan that I raise cannot exceed my own level. Moreover, I can only keep one now with my current ability. I'll need to reach a higher level before I can raise another one, Lan Qingyue explained to Wang Xian. Wang Xian nodded slightly. The speed of raising a Kuan, if raised by the ancient god Kuan breeder, was unbelievable, but it had a lot of limitations. A supreme class ancient god Kuan breeder could at most rear 10 Kuns. Through Lan Qingyue's explanation, the rearing of Kuan required feeding of the bloodline. In other words, even if other races got hold of the rearing techniques, they could not rear one. Now that Lan Qingyue was the last Kuan breeder in this universe, the ancient god Kuan breeder clan could only flourish when Wang Xian and her gave birth to their offspring. Back at the Yellow River the other time when those creatures were zombified, their sizes actually grew by multiple times. Why didn't this blue whale grow too? Wang Xian asked with curiosity. If the size of the blue whale were enhanced by more than tenfold, it would be crazily huge. A creature that was a few hundred or even up to 1,000 meters was nowhere to be seen in history. The size of Xiaolan is just nice now. Any bigger will reduce its defense. When it reaches level 12, it will double its size to 70 meters. Lan Qingyue explained. Level 12 can grow to 70 meters. When it's level 13, it can grow to more than 100 meters. That means it can grow to a few thousand meters when it's level 17 or 18. Wang Xian did some math and stared at the blue whale. He will become a gigantic warring beast in the future. A picture was formed in Wang Xian's mind. Members of the Dragon Palace stood close to one another before this domineering Kuin of unknown size. Conquer the universe and the millions of clans and races. Impressive. Wang Xian's eyes were brightened up while Lan Qingyue rolled her eyes at him. Xiao Xian, I want Xiaolan to enter the Dragon Palace so that he can cultivate here and guard the palace for you. Sure, of course. Haha, are you hungry? Let's go and have something. Wang Xian let out hearty laughter and hugged Lan Qingyue before he swam towards the Dragon Palace. Dragon King. As soon as he entered, 9 venomous sea snakes swam over with something in their mouths. Her? This is... Wang Xian looked at the 9 venomous sea snakes with a stunned look as he checked out several large bodies. The bodies of the Aurora jellyfish weren't absorbed by the dragon transformation pool. He was slightly surprised. Immortal jellyfish, level 11, substance form. Soulless state. Resurrect it with another soul. No, even the names have changed. They have become immortal jellyfish. I can revive them with another soul. The message in Wang Xian's mind reminded him of another thing which was recorded in the divine dragon transformation. Immortal substance. Just as suggested by its name, it was non-perishable. Unless the substance was reduced to ashes, it would live forever. This referred to vitality, which had a significant difference from stones and soil. Once a soul entered into one of these immortal substances, it could share an eternal life together with it. Wang Xian had a hesitant look on his face as he looked at the bodies of those immortal jellyfish. If he put some souls into the bodies of these immortal jellyfish, they could be revived. Since they would be strong, with powerful assaulting capabilities, they could make excellent subordinates. However, it was hard to upgrade the immortal substance's levels. They could only upgrade when they absorbed another immortal substance. Humans discovered that Turritopsis nitricula can have eternal life. That is to say, immortal jellyfish are evolved from Turritopsis nitricula. Dig a cave in one of the mountains and place them inside. Wang Xian ordered the 9 venomous sea snakes. The immortal substance was a powerful existence. Coupling it with soul-returning branch, Wang Xian could build an undying jellyfish race. As such, this was an extremely precious resource that could come in handy in the future. Back in his bedroom, Wang Xian ordered a venomous sea snake to hunt for food, so that he could enjoy a table of seafood delicacy with Guan Shuqing, Lan Qingyue, and Sun Lingxiu. The ingredients were made up of high-level marine creatures. If he brought it to first-grade restaurant, someone would buy it, even if it was priced at $10 million. Subsequently, Wang Xian stayed in the Dragon Palace for another 2 days, while waiting for Prime, Minister Turtle, and the rest to resurrect. On the 3rd day, however, Lan Qingyue received a series of messages on her phone when she returned to the yacht to pass instructions for some development issues in Lan family. What? When she read the messages, she was stunned. Immediately, she frowned and leaped into the sea back to the Dragon Palace. Xiao Yu, bad news. Xiao Yu is in trouble. What? Wang Xian was enjoying his time on his bed when he heard the anxious voice of Lan Qingyue. He shot up and responded with a growing sullen expression on his face. Xiao Xian, these are the messages that sect leader Tang used to send with Elder Feng's phone. Lan Qingyue handed the phone to Wang Xian with a stern look. There were over 10 messages, with the first few talking about Xiao Yu and Elder Fang's situation. They had been poisoned when they were sparring with someone. The injuries were severe, and Wang Xian was wanted as soon as possible. The fact that the messages had been sent 2 days ago caused Wang Xian to darken his expression rapidly. Let's go back now. Wang Xian could not wait for Prime Minister Turtle and the rest to resurrect. He quickly walked out of the Dragon Palace and headed for the yacht. Guan Shuqing, Lan Qingyue, Sun Lingxiu, and Mo Qinglong all followed behind. When Wang Xian went back to the room in the yacht, he picked up his phone on the table immediately. He realized the phone had run out of battery, so he quickly connected it to the charger and turned it on. There were over dozens of missed calls, in which most of them were made by sect leader Tang. Wang Xian's expression was even more sullen. He quickly called back sect leader Tang of Thistles and Thorns sect. "Miracle Dr. Wang, you finally returned my call." Sect leader Tang's old and tired voice was heard from the phone. Chapter 374. Xiao Yu met with a mishap. Sect leader Tang, what happened to my sister? Wang Xian took a deep breath before asking sect leader Tang directly. Xiao Yu and her master were poisoned by strange venom. Both of them are currently unconscious. Miracle Dr. Wang, where are you? It would be best if you can come over and take a look immediately, answered sect leader Tang hurriedly. All right, I will return immediately and will reach you by night. Where is Xiao Yu now? Wang Xian asked with a gloomy face. She is in the villa. We have asked Sui Huang for help, but there's nothing much he could do. Sect leader Tang sounded flustered when she spoke. I get it. Please take care of Xiao Yu and Elder Fang. I will head back immediately. Wang Xian pulled a long face as he hung up the phone. What's the matter, Xiao Xian? What happened to Xiao Yu? I got a phone message from Elder Fang too. Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue walked in and asked anxiously. They had been in the Dragon Palace over the last few days. At a depth of over 1,000 meters, there was no reception at all. As such, they had left their phones on the yacht. If it wasn't for Lan Qingyue wanting to settle some company matters, they wouldn't have known something had happened to Xiao Yu. She sparred with someone and was poisoned in the process. Elder Fang was poisoned too. The message was likely from sect leader Tang. Wang Xian's expression turned gloomy. Poisoned while sparring? Sui Huang couldn't do anything with the venom. Although Sui Huang was not a miracle doctor, he was a Dan realm expert and an experienced alchemist. His understanding of poison wouldn't be shallow. If there's nothing he could do about this venom, it must be something extraordinary. To be severely poisoned when sparring. Wang Xian's expression turned gloomier. Dense killing intent gleamed in his eyes. Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue saw his expression. They immediately tried to comfort and calm him down. The yacht steered swiftly towards Rivertown. Their location was rather far from Rivertown, and it would take approximately 10 hours. When the yacht arrived at the villa, it was already 8 p.m. Wang Xian leaped out of the yacht and into the villa. Young master. When Wang Xian entered the villa, Mo Yuan immediately greeted him. Wang Xian didn't speak much and headed for the room directly. Young master, Xiao Yu is in the room on the second floor, remarked Mo Yuan instantly. Wang Xian nodded his head. He didn't take the stairs, but instead jumped to the second floor directly and quickly made his way to the door. Bam! Miracle Dr. Wang, you are here. Xiao Yu and her master are still unconscious. Sect leader Tang stood up immediately the moment he saw Wang Xian and spoke in a fatigued tone. Let me take a look. Wang Xian turned his attention to Xiao Yu and Elder Fang. Their faces were as white as chalk without any signs of blood. Around them, a deathly aura was shrouding over them. Wang Xian reached his arm out and placed his hand on Xiao Yu solemnly. Dragon energy, was injected into Xiao Yu directly. This is... The moment the dragon energy flowed into Xiao Yu, Wang Xian had a grasp of what was happening inside Xiao Yu. Densely packed black dots were scattered all over her body. It looked dreadful. These black dots were slowly absorbing the life energy of Xiao Yu and seemed to have fused with her. Cleanse. Wang Xian pulled a long face and attempted to cleanse the black dots away with dragon energy. Ugh. As the dragon energy cleansed one of the dots, Xiao Yu grimaced in pain. Cold sweat broke out and streamed down her forehead. Wang Xian turned gloomy. A female disciple from Thistles and Thorns sect immediately used a tower to wipe away the sweat from Xiao Yu's body. Miracle, Dr. Wang. Sui Huang said Xiao Yu and her master suffered from the black bone venom, and the poison is now deeply rooted and fused with their bodies. Using brute strength to cleanse the poison would be equivalent to scrapping their bones with knives. The pain is still secondary. The main issue is that the black bone venom has fused into their bodies and is absorbing 80% of their life energy. Cleansing them will kill only Xiao Yu and Elder Fong. Sect leader Tang was bitter as she spoke. She knew about what Sui Huang was capable of from Elder Fong. He was an existence that only existed in records. If an expert that was above the inborn realm said that they had no hope of recovering, that would almost be equivalent to. Upon hearing sect leader Tang, Wang Xian pulled a long face. He slowed down and used dragon energy to inspect the venom. Just like Sui Huang had diagnosed, Wang Xian realized how thorny the situation was after inspecting Xiao Yu's body. This was the first time he'd encountered venom that couldn't be cleansed with dragon energy. The black bone venom in Xiao Yu had fused with her. Furthermore, the venom was absorbing 80% of her life energy. This resulted in Xiao Yu losing consciousness. If he was to cleanse the venom, he would kill Xiao Yu in the process. What a sinister venom! This is equivalent to letting Xiao Yu and Elder Fong spend the rest of their lives in bed. Dense killing intent leaked out from Wang Xian's body. He caressed Xiao Yu's head and injected streams of azure dragon energy into her body. When the azure dragon energy entered Xiao Yu's body, Wang Xian was shocked to see the black dots absorbing the energy too. Sect leader Tang. Did Sui Huang give any other information on the black bone venom? Wang Xian asked with a gloomy face. Nothing else. The so-called black bone venom is also just a name coined by Sui Huang himself. I have been researching this venom for the last few days and haven't come across anything, sect leader Tang said in a dismal tone. No information. Wang Xian clenched his fist tightly. He looked at Xiao Yu and Elder Fong's pale expressions and was thinking hard for a solution. Miracle Dr. Wang, do you have any solutions? Sect leader Tang looked at him and asked anxiously. Xiao Yu was the hope of the Thistles and Thorns sect, and Elder Fong had now reached the half-step to Inborn Realm. It would just be a matter of time before she reached the Inborn Realm. If something were to happen to them, it would be a huge blow to Thistles and Thorns sect. Wang Xian did not reply. At this moment, Guan Shuqing, Lan Qingyue, and Sun Lingxiu entered the room. When they saw Xiao Yu and Elder Fong lying on the bed, and the gloomy Wang Xian, their hearts skipped a beat. Sun Lingxiu was surprised to see Wang Xian's gloomy expression. She waved her arm, and dazzling rays shrouded Xiao Yu and Elder Fong. Huh. Sun Lingxiu's eyebrows knitted together, and she used her light attribute energy to inspect them again. When the light energy shone on their bodies, it was absorbed immediately. Sensing the conditions, she frowned more deeply. Dragon transforming pool. That's the only potential option now. Wang Xian thought hard about this option. The dragon transformation pool had the effect of cleansing one's physical body. With the power effects of the dragon transformation pool, there was a chance the black bone venom could be removed from their bodies. Before that, let's try to help them regain their consciousness. After that, Wang Xian's eyes were filled with killing intent. He was determined to find the culprit. If the culprit had the antidote, it would be best. Otherwise, annihilate the entire clan or sect. Or perhaps the outcome would be the same with or without the antidote. Chapter 375 Bloodbath 1 Zing. Wang Xian ejected the wood dragon ball of the wood element from his mouth and into his hand after looking at Xiao Yu and Elder Fang, who were lying in bed. As he bent forward, Wang Xian placed the wood dragon ball into Xiao Yu's mouth, which proceeded to enter her body. Instantaneously, the energy of the azure dragon transferred itself from the wood dragon ball into Xiao Yu's body. This returned some blush to her otherwise pale face. Xiao Yu, I'm your elder bro. Wang Xian called out to Xiao Yu softly. Huh? Xiao Yu uttered before she opened her heavy eyelids to look at Wang Xian. Elder bro, you're here. That's wonderful. I thought I'd ever see you again. Xiao Yu struggled while managing a smile. That won't happen, Xiao Yu. If you want to see me, you can do so any time. Wang Xian coaxed as he rubbed Xiao Yu's head gently. Elder bro, I won't die, will I? Xiao Yu asked Wang Xian weakly. You won't. With Elder bro around, you'll always be safe and sound. Xiao Yu. Wang Xian assured Xiao Yu with a determined look. Rest assured, I'll help you recover, he affirmed. You're the best, Elder bro. Xiao Yu smiled before she turned over to look at Elder Fang, who was beside her. Elder bro, please treat my master as well. She was injured because she tried to save me, so you have to treat her. Xiao Yu pleaded with Wang Xian as she looked back. Don't worry, both of you will be fine. Wang Xian promised confidently. After a brief moment of hesitation as she stood by the side, Sun Lingxiu ejected the illuminating pearl which she'd obtained prior from her mouth and placed it into Elder Fang's mouth. As both the wood dragon ball and illuminating pearl possessed formidable healing powers, they could help the duo in regaining consciousness. Elder Fang awoke gradually. As she did, she looked on at Wang Xian and the rest in confusion, while her delicate face beamed with a smile. Miracle Dr. Wang, sect leader Xiao Yu. Elder Fang called out. Prepare some food. Sect leader Tang instructed immediately as he spoke to a female disciple of the Thistles and Thorns sect. Don't worry, I'll make sure you recover. Wang Xian promised Elder Fang while facing her. I believe in your medical skills, Miracle Dr. Wang. Elder Fang accepted with a beam. Wang Xian nodded with ease. As the exchanges between Wang Xian, Xiao Yu, and Elder Fang ended, the female disciple of the Thistles and Thorns sect came back with 2 bowls of porridge. Wang Xian watched as the duo finished their food before he stepped out with a burdened look. With sect leader Tang following behind, the two came to the living room situated at the level below. Sect leader Tang, could you elaborate on the details? Wang Xian asked with a dull expression as he sat on the sofa alongside sect leader Tang. 4 days ago, Xiao Yu and Xian Fang were back at the sect ground to discuss some matters. They happened to receive news about the discovery of an ancient tomb. Interested, they went over to see if they could recover any treasures. In the end, they were attacked by the young master of the Nine Lotus sect and struck by lethal poison. Sect leader Tang explained. According to the information I've obtained, it was the young master of the Nine Lotus sect who made lewd remarks towards the duo, which led to Xiao Yu exchanging counters with him. In the end, Nine Lotus sect. Wang Xian uttered with a cold stare, as savage intention flashed across his eyes. They're a first-class force with 5 inborn experts within their ancestral sect, renowned throughout the Luoyuan province. I am to blame for my inability. I couldn't exact revenge for them, so I could only wait for your return, Miracle Dr. Wang, he explained in humiliation. This was the sorrow of small sects, where they could only bow down in silence after having suffered at the hands of the big sects. They could only swallow the humble pie, even if their disciples were being murdered by the latter. Otherwise, the entire Thistles and Thorns sect would be wiped out, should they offend the big sects. This was also the reason why sect leader Tang had hoped for the Thistles and Thorns sect to ascend and become a first-class force. Should there be an inborn expert within the ancestral sect, the situation would no doubt improve by leaps and bounds. Where's the sect ground of the 9 Lotus located? Wang Xian asked sect leader Tang with a heavy look. It's within the first-level divisional area of the Luyuan province. But right now, members of the 9 Lotus sect are all gathered at the ancient tomb of Sky City. It's the burial ground of an expert where highly treacherous traps have been laid. They're still there. Sect leader Tang explained. There are currently numerous experts from several ancestral sects and clans who've gathered there. Wang Xian nodded in acknowledgement before turning to look at Mo Yuan, who stood at the side. Young master, this is the information I've gathered over the past 2 days, Mo Yuan said as he proceeded forward, at which point sect leader Tang made his exit mindfully. Here's the information on the 9 Lotus sect, young master. As you were not around, I did not proceed with anything on my own. Mo Yuan continued. Wang Xian took a look at the information on the 9 Lotus sect before asking, as of now, how many amongst the Dragonians have attained inborn status? There are 4, excluding my master and myself. 4 Dragonians have ascended to reach the inborn status. Within another month, all members of the Dragon sect will be able to attain inborn status. Mo Yuan answered. Should I get them over, young master? He asked. No need. I'll see to this personally. Wang Xian declined flatly. He wanted those with the guts to hurt Xiaoyu this badly to know the meaning of trepidation and despair. Mo Yuan's heart skipped a beat upon hearing Wang Xian's words. Young master rarely acts personally. He would never trouble himself if matters could be delegated to us. Seems like someone is going to be down with very bad luck. When nightfall came, Wang Xian returned to Xiaoyu's room to check on the duo. They may have regained consciousness under the sustenance of the 2 Dragon Balls, but while they were awake, sitting up was the most they could manage, as their limbs remained entirely immobile. Wang Xian's heart ached at the sight of Xiaoyu's plight, which added to his fury. At dawn the next morning, when the sun had just risen, Wang Xian came into Xiaoyu's room. His heart ached again as he brushed her head gently while looking at her as she woke with a dazed look. Xiaoyu, would you like to come along with me? I'll exact revenge for you. Wang Xian asked. Elder bro, he tricked me. He said he'd only use one hand, given his prowess as an inborn. But after he started fighting with me, not only did he use both hands, but he attacked me with poison. Xiaoyu said with a face of spite. Silly lass. Wang Xian exclaimed as he caressed Xiaoyu's head. Elder bro will exact revenge for you. Come, follow me. He continued. Thereafter, he bent over to scoop Xiaoyu up before turning to face Elder Fong and asked, Elder Fong, will you be joining? No, I'll pass. Bring Xiaoyu along. Elder Fong declined with a smile. Sure. Wang Xian nodded before he proceeded downstairs with Xiaoyu in his arms. Mo Qinglong had a wheelchair placed at the foot of the stairs. You'll have to move around in a wheelchair for the next couple of days. It'll be fine once Elder Bro has neutralized the poison in your body. Wang Xian consoled Xiaoyu with a smile as he sat her in the chair. No issue, Elder Bro. Other than being unable to move my body, I don't feel hurt anywhere. Xiaoyu assured Wang Xian with glee. She was obviously in much better spirits now. Great, let's go. Wang Xian signaled as he pushed the wheelchair from behind, accompanied by Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue on either side. Sun Lingxiu did not follow along, but instead remained behind to take care of Elder Fong, whereas Mo Qinglong and Mo Yuan followed behind the quartet. At the same time, the Heavenly Hound tagged alongside Lan Qingyue. After carrying Xiao Yu into the caravan, the group set off with Mo Yuan driving in the direction of Sky City. Chapter 376 Bloodbath 2. The car was moving rapidly, and the girls never stopped talking in the car. They were explaining about the Dragon Palace to Xiao Yu, and Xiao Yu was constantly amazed by what she heard. She was filled with anticipation to visit it one day. She had long forgotten about the fact that she had been poisoned. This trip felt just like another tour as she chatted constantly with the other girls. Xiao Yu spoke about the battle she'd had with the young master of the Nine Lotus sect. The young master of Nine Lotus sect was an inborn expert. Therefore, Xiao Yu wasn't that dumb to challenge the authority of an inborn expert. However, that young master constantly insulted her. He even declared that he could only use one hand to fight Xiao Yu. As a result, Xiao Yu fought with him out of anger. Although Xiao Yu had not cultivated for long, she was already at the half-step to inborn realm. Moreover, Sui Huang had been guiding her recently. Therefore, she was much stronger than normal half-step to inborn experts. When the young master fought Xiao Yu with only one hand, he wasn't gaining any advantage over Xiao Yu after 10 moves. Furthermore, he was pushed into perilous situations constantly. In the end, he used both his hands and even heavily injured Xiao Yu with the poison. When Elder Fong witnessed it, she attacked with rage and was caught in the venom too. "Brother, you must teach that rascal a lesson on behalf of me. It would be best if you could abolish all his cultivation so he can't act arrogantly in the future," Xiao Yu said grudgingly. Wang Xian smiled plainly and nodded his head. After witnessing the scenes of the war during the establishment of the Dragon Palace and the defense of the Dragon Palace subsequently, Wang Xian's mindset had experienced a drastic change. War and death were what he would have to experience in the future. He thought of the millions and billions of deaths, the annihilation of entire races, and the fall of countries. This taught Wang Xian that by being strong and powerful, one could have a better living. If someone were to offend him, he would kill them. War, to a great extent, had no right or wrong. It was especially so for wars between races and wars for resources. None of the parties were wrong, but billions of lives would be lost in the process. At this moment, Wang Xian was a lot calmer when facing life and death situations. When he came across resources, he would compete for them. If others were to compete with him, then a battle would be imminent. If someone were to offend him or bully the people close to him, it would be the same response: kill them. The basis of the universe was as such unless he could become the strongest in the universe, and no one dared to offend him. Wang Xian wouldn't kill the innocent, but wouldn't be soft to others either. He would annihilate the Nine Lotus sect, and everyone affiliated with it would be killed. This was because he couldn't be sure that the remains of his enemies wouldn't deal a fatal blow to his back one day. The war between races would usually lead to the annihilation of one side. The side that survived would be the correct side. Thrones were built upon the corpses of the people. Sky City wasn't far from Rivertown. The journey took just 6 hours, and the group reached Sky City at around 3 p.m. The car drove towards a suburban area of Sky City. "Young master, we have arrived." The car stopped and Mo Yuan spoke. "Let's alight." Wang Xian stood up and carried Xiao Yu to a wheelchair before pushing the wheelchair down from the car. "Brother, this is the place." Xiao Yu pointed at the location in front of them and said, "Those mountains are known as the Sky Mountains. There's a lake there, and the scenery is breathtaking. The ancient tomb is located right there. Let's go, Xiao Yu. I will avenge you," Wang Xian said with a smile as he pushed Xiao Yu forward. Mo Yuan and Mo Qinglong were leading the way. Beside the wheelchair, the Heavenly Hound followed closely behind Lan Qingyue. It kept looking at Lan Qingyue in awe and regularly rubbed against her to show affection. 6 people, a dog, and a girl who was in a wheelchair. No matter how one looked at the group, they would conclude that Wang Xian and the group were tourists. "Stop right there." When the 6 people arrived at the entrance of Sky Mountain, 2 young men stared at them coldly. The two young men wore identical white uniforms with black lotuses embroidered on them. This area is out of bounds for ordinary people. Leave at once. The two young men looked across the group of 6. Their attention remained on Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue for a little longer before shouting, "Nine Lotus Sect." Wang Xian looked at the two young men and asked emotionlessly, "Brother, it's them. They are from the Nine Lotus Sect." Xiaoyu frowned and said to Wang Xian, we are from the Nine Lotus Sect?" The two young men lifted their heads when they heard Wang Xian. One of the young men lifted his head slightly, looked down at them, and asked, "Which family or clan are you guys from? Since we are from the Nine Lotus Sect, you should also know the ancient tomb of Sky Mountains is now controlled by us. If you want to enter, you need to prove your worth." That young brat? When the young man finished his sentence, the other young man looked curiously at Xiaoyu, who was in the wheelchair. "She's the young girl who was crippled by our young master." It's really her. What gives you the guts to come again? Are you interested in becoming the concubine of our young master? She courting her own demise to challenge our young master. The two young men recognized Xiaoyu and started mocking her. Upon hearing them, Xiaoyu was infuriated. It was apparent that the young master of the Nine Lotus Sect had insulted her countless times on that day. "Kill them." While the two young men were laughing, Wang Xian caressed Xiaoyu's head and spoke plainly. Wang Xian's voice was cold and emotionless and surprised the two young men. They stopped laughing and gave Wang Xian a harsh stare. "Rascal, do you know this is—" Before they finished their sentence, Mo Qinglong and Mo Yuan had already struck. A palm appeared on their necks tightly. When the two young men realized what was happening, their eyes widened and they were filled with fear. "You guys—" Crack, crack. Boom! The sounds of the necks cracking resounded. Soon after, cold demonic flames appeared on Mo Qinglong and Mo Yuan's hands, burning the two young men. The two men vanished immediately, leaving only some ashes behind as evidence of their existence. "Arg, brother!" Xiaoyu exclaimed when she saw the two men turning into ashes. Her eyes widened as she lifted her head and stared at Wang Xian. The path to becoming strong is filled with blood. Showing mercy to the enemies would be showing cruelty to ourselves. Wang Xian caressed Xiaoyu's head and spoke softly. He continued pushing the wheelchair forward and headed deeper towards the mountains. This was just the beginning. Xiaoyu's expression changed, and she remained silent. After 10 seconds, she lifted her head, revealed a smile, and commented, "I will listen to you, brother." Since a young age, her brother had been taking good care of her. In her heart, everything her brother did was right, even if it meant killing and committing arson. "Yeah." Wang Xian smiled and replied. He wanted to let Xiaoyu know that this world was cruel and bloody. This was to prepare her for the long journey ahead. However, he did not require her to change her behavior. The job of an executioner could just be left to him. Behind them, Guan Shuqing felt a little discomfort. However, she recovered quickly. Lan Qingyue's expression did not show any changes. When she accepted the inheritance of the ancient god Kuan Breeder, she learnt about the cruelty of the universe. In fact, the ancient god race was the evil side in her opinion. All she wanted to do was just ensure she wouldn't go against her own nature. Chapter 377, Bloodbath 3. As part of the sightseeing area of Sky City, the architecture around the Sky Mountain was mesmerizing. At a staggering 142 meters above the sea level and stretching 3 kilometers in length, there were 9 meandering passes along Sky Mountain laid with treacherous paths. At the foot of the mountain lay the famous Great Stone Buddha statue, cliff inscriptions, crane flying pavilion, crane coming pavilion, crane drinking fountain, Xinhua Zen temple of the Ming Dynasty, Great Scholar Rock of the Qing Dynasty, Shangxi Assembly Hall, Water Pavilion, and Yubei Pavilion, among others. The place seemed particularly quiet, given that there was no one at the Sky Mountain, which otherwise was usually bustling with life. "It's up ahead, behind this mountain crest," a voice could be heard saying. Meanwhile, a young man was pushing a wheelchair with a young maiden in it, while they were accompanied by 4 others and a dog. It was Wang Xian's group of 6. It's been 3 days since the excavation of the ancient tomb. To think that the objects inside have yet to be retrieved. Seems like what's stored within could be very valuable items, Xiaoyu exclaimed with a smile as she looked ahead. Let's go take a look. Perhaps we might even obtain a few treasures. Wang Xian replied with a grin. As he did, he pushed the wheelchair along, which seemed rather effortless, much thanks to the tiled floor laid neatly in brick patterns within the Sky Mountain regions. They passed by one of the pavilions while on their way up the mountain crest. Members from 3 ancestral sects and 2 clans have entered. "I wonder who the treasures inside will belong to?" a voice asked. "The 9 Lotus sect is the most formidable amongst them. Plus, they have 2 miracle doctors from the Sacred Followers Guild. So that makes them the most likely," one guessed. But the Luyan family is no weaker in abilities. With 2 inborn experts, they are also very likely to obtain the treasures once they're inside. Another speculated. Tens of people have died, one after another, in the past few days, including 5 half-step inborns. "Those must be some really precious items inside," the third exclaimed. "The treasures inside belong to us, 9 Lotus sect," the last boasted. As Wang Xian and the group arrived behind the mountain crest, they heard the commotion from the crowd. Wang Xian looked to the front. A group of close to 80 people had gathered around. From time to time, they would peer into the underground cave, which was situated right in the middle where they hovered. The underground cave measured more than a dozen meters wide as it extended all the way down, making it hard to see how deep the cave actually stretched. Along the opening of the underground cave stood about 20 people who wore synchronized outfits from the same ancestral sect. As they stood watch, they fixed their gaze on the nearby crowd to prevent anyone from entering. The arrival of Wang Xian and the gang had not drawn any attention. As he looked across, his focus eventually landed in the direction of the group, which donned the 9 Lotus sect attire. In comparison to the rest who had gathered around, the location occupied by the 9 Lotus sect was obviously much more comfortable. More than a dozen chairs and tables were lined out beneath numerous parasols, which stood by the sides of the members. Meanwhile, several people were seated while having tea by the tables as they waited in silence. Wang Xian uttered as he glanced over in a particular direction, with eyes narrowed. It was a familiar figure, an enemy of the past. Miracle Dr. Feng Huazi. Upon the sight of this figure, a look of confusion and suspicion swept across Wang Xian's face. Feng Huazi was currently seated beside a young man, while his arms, which had been previously maimed by Wang Xian, were now dangling aimlessly. Yet the Feng Huazi of now was all smiles while he sat, as though having lost mobility in both arms was something to rejoice about. "Elder bro, that's the young man," Xiaoyu pointed out. She glared at the young man who was seated beside Miracle Dr. Feng Huazi with eyes of fury. He was the young master of the 9 Lotus sect. "Let's head over." Wang Xian gestured while looking at the young man. He seemed to be in his 30s, as he exuded an aura of the experts while projecting an image of confidence and arrogance. Well-loved and highly respected, he was the renowned young master of the 9 Lotus sect. The term young master was rarely coined within ancestral sects, while it was more common in clans. And this position was much more esteemed than that of saint and saintess. Young master of the 9 Lotus sect, born with gifted talents. Having achieved the inborn status at the mere age of 34, it is acclaimed that he will be able to surpass that in his surviving years. Ranked the 5th on the Outstanding Young Heroes chart, His prowess is reputed as a notch above that of the saint and saintess from the sacred sects. Wang Xian explained. As he spoke, he wheeled Xiao Yu along towards the location of the 9 Lotus sect members. Huh, who's that? A voice asked. Is that? Another trailed off. In that instant, Wang Xian's voice drew the attention of everyone nearby. They looked the group up and down, after turning over in surprise. That's the young maiden from several days ago, someone pointed out. It's her indeed. I heard that she's a saintess from a second-class force, although her gift in cultivation is very astonishing. She's already a half-step inborn at such a tender age. Another gasped. Pity though, no matter how gifted. She exchanged hands with the young master of the 9 Lotus sect. The prowess of a half-step inborn is still very far off from an inborn. She's since been completely maimed by him. Another sighed. At the sight of Xiao Yu, who was now in a wheelchair, along with Wang Xian and the rest who stood behind them, the crowd looked on in a state of bewilderment. What are they doing here? The crowd of experts whispered amongst themselves. The attention of the young master from 9 Lotus sect and Feng Huazi, both of whom are currently seated beneath the parasols, was drawn over. They're really here. Ha ha, ha ha. Feng Huazi laughed upon seeing Xiao Yu in a wheelchair. This was followed by his intense gaze of animosity when he spotted Wang Xian pushing the wheelchair. Miracle Dr. Feng Huazi, so that's Miracle Dr. Wang of Rivertown, the young master of 9 Lotus sect asked. He had not been too surprised by the appearance of Wang Xian and the group, but returned them a condescending look. That's right, he's the one. Feng Huazi replied with hatred in his eyes. His face darkened when he saw Xiao Yu in the wheelchair. To think he's really got some skills, being able to mitigate the effects of such lethal poison, he snorted. Haha, miracle Dr. Feng. Although she's regained consciousness, it appears she's now incapacitated. The young master of the 9 Lotus sect mocked as he laughed at Xiao Yu. I see, Wang Xian uttered in realization, looking at them. They were laughing away in a discussion of Wang Xian and the group without the slightest regard. It was because of Feng Huazi that this 9 Lotus young master had resorted to attacking Xiao Yu with such lethal poison. Feng Huazi was exacting revenge for those maimed arms of his. The antidote. Wang Xian uttered the words coldly as he demanded it of Feng Huazi with an indifferent look. Antidote? Ha ha. Feng Huazi laughed before he stood up. You want the antidote? It was a fair exchange, and the loser should bear the consequences. What about it? And yet you're here for the antidote? He gloated with a grimace. When you maimed my arms, and when my master spoke to you back then, why didn't you mention antidotes? Feng Huazi fired back. And now you're here for the antidote? Young lad, this is what you call treating others the way they have treated you. Don't you know? He added. Let me be clear. Even if there's an antidote, you're not getting it. Moreover, this poison does not come with one haha. He continued thereafter. Do you know that we, the Sacred Followers Guild, obtained this poison by chance? It's a poison that no one in this world can neutralize. Not even our sect leader of the Sacred Followers Guild, nor the world's most formidable miracle doctor. This poison comes with no antidote, Feng Huazi concluded, and then he sneered, ha ha. Chapter 378 Bloodbath 4. Feng Huazi was laughing hysterically without reservation, as he felt he'd gotten his revenge. He used to have a bright future, but had to sever both of his arms to undergo long-term treatment. Over this period, he had been living in anger and fear. Now that the kin of his enemy had to suffer the same misery or be thrown into even greater despair, Feng Huazi was exhilarated, a distorted sense of excitement. Miracle Doctor Feng Huazi, your arms could still grow out gradually. However, she can forget about standing up in the future. The young master of the 9 Lotus sect revealed a faint smile as he looked at Miracle Dr. Feng Huazi, laughing hysterically. Haha, you are right. This is the price for messing with me. Feng Huazi stared at Wang Xian with a hideous expression. He licked his lips and resumed his laughter. "It's my mistake for not killing you the last time," said Wang Xian emotionlessly. "A factionless doctor dares to kill one from the Sacred Followers Guild? Hee hee, how brazen are you?" The young master of the Nine Lotus sect chuckled in disdain. He scrutinized Wang Xian from head to toe before continuing. "Now that I have seen the youngest miracle doctor, you don't look that special to me." Subsequently, he lifted his head proudly and turned to Xiao Yu. "What's the matter, wild brat? Why are you here in a wheelchair? Were you missing me already? Ha ha ha. You!" Upon hearing the young master of the Nine Lotus sect, Xiao Yu was furious and glowered at him. "For hurting my sister, you shall die. Everyone in the Nine Lotus sect will follow you shortly." Wang Xian released his grip on the wheelchair, stared at the young master of the Nine Lotus sect and miracle Dr. Feng Huazi, and walked towards them. "Oh, you are going to kill all of us?" When the young master of the Nine Lotus sect heard Wang Xian, he squinted his eyes and observed the group of 6. "With this group? Miracle Dr. Wang from Rivertown? Hee hee, are you under the perception that we are just an ordinary first-class force? What are they here for? Courting their own deaths? Miracle Dr. Wang from Rivertown is indeed famous, a factionless doctor that is said to be able to call upon 3 to 4 inborn experts. However, he's still a far cry from the Nine Lotus sect and the Sacred Followers Guild. He wants to get revenge? That's courting his death. How full of himself is he? Is the Nine Lotus sect something that a factionless doctor could go against? Moreover, there's still the Sacred Followers Guild." Around them, the crowd saw Wang Xian, but were discussing loudly without reservation. A factionless doctor would just be a meager, factionless doctor, even if he possessed extraordinary medical techniques. When compared with the Nine Lotus sect or the Sacred Followers Guild, it wouldn't even be a meaningful comparison at all. The young master of the Nine Lotus sect stared at Wang Xian nonchalantly. No matter how incredible a miracle doctor was, he couldn't be stronger than him. Wanting to kill him? What a joke! "Pa!" Wang Xian stretched out his hand emotionlessly. From his side, Mo Qinglong threw Zhan Lu into his hand. "Today, I'm going to start a bloodbath with the Nine Lotus sect." Wang Xian wasn't paying attention to the discussion of the crowd as he remarked coldly, "He's going to do it on his own. Miracle Dr. Wang from Rivertown must be dumb. The young master of the Nine Lotus sect is ranked 5th on the Outstanding Young Heroes chart and is an inborn expert. This isn't a contest of medical techniques. What a dumbass!" From the crowd, a young man spoke loudly in contempt as he saw Wang Xian receiving the longsword. Wang Xian revealed a chilling smile and glanced at the young man. "Hee hee, since you are courting death, kill him." The young master of the Nine Lotus sect looked at Wang Xian with ridicule. He picked up the cup of tea beside him, took a sip, and ordered the disciples of the Nine Lotus sect around him. "Yes, young master." A middle-aged man nodded his head before turning to Wang Xian. He said, "You are just a meager, factionless doctor, and yet you dare to mess with our Nine Lotus sect? Today, I'll let you be like your sister forever." Just as he finished his words, Wang Xian moved. Although Wang Xian was nursing grave injuries at this instant, he still could match a Dan realm expert. His speed was incomparably fast. Just as the middle-aged man finished his words, he suddenly sensed a shadow appearing before him. His expression changed greatly. Turning his palm, water circulated around it as he shouted loudly, "Now, die!" He slapped his palm forward directly. "Too weak." At this instant, a cold and emotionless voice propagated. The middle-aged man stared in disbelief as he turned his head over stiffly. He saw that the young man had his back facing him. It was as though he had not struck previously. However, when the middle-aged man looked down, he saw a long sword being pulled out of his chest gradually. Instantly he was filled with shock. Cough, cough. You. The middle-aged man was dumbfounded. Before he could complete his words, he fell to the ground. Wang Xian pulled the long sword out of the middle-aged man's chest. Without taking a second look, Wang Xian continued walking towards the young master of the Nine Lotus Sect and Miracle, Dr. Feng Huazi. He wasn't walking quickly, but brought with him stifling pressure. What incredible speed and sword! How can this be possible? That middle-aged man from the Nine Lotus Sect is a half-step to inborn expert. How could a factionless doctor be so insanely strong? That single strike had shocked the crowd as they stared at Wang Xian with disbelief. The young man who called Wang Xian a dumbass was in a daze. His expression changed constantly as fear gleamed in his eyes. The young master of the Nine Lotus Sect and Miracle Dr. Feng Huazi were taken aback as their mood turned solemn. How dare you kill our people from the Nine Lotus Sect? When the surrounding disciples from the Nine Lotus Sect saw the middle-aged man killed, they quickly surrounded Wang Xian without waiting for the orders of their young master. Kill him, instructed the young master of the Nine Lotus Sect coldly. Poof, poof, poof. The instant the young master of the Nine Lotus Sect finished his words, Wang Xian struck. It was still that insanely quick speed. The move was simple as Wang Xian simply slashed across the bodies of the 8 disciples from the Nine Lotus Sect. This time, none of them had reacted to Wang Xian again. Their eyes opened wider and their bodies shivered as they saw their waists. So strong. SSS. What incredible strength. He's definitely an inborn expert. He's definitely. The crowd gasped and was shocked by what they had just witnessed. In the previous instant, he had killed a half-step to inborn expert. The next instant, he killed another 8 level 9 to half-step to inborn disciples from the Nine Lotus Sect. This strength was completely beyond their expectations. Wang Xian turned to the young master of the Nine Lotus Sect and Feng Huazi as he remarked, "As I've said, I'm going to slaughter every single one of you." Bam, bam, bam. Wang Xian finished his remarks as the 8 disciples of the Nine Lotus Sect fell to the ground. The eyes of the surrounding crowd had all constricted upon witnessing the development. The young master of the Nine Lotus Sect pulled a long face and glowered at Wang Xian. He gritted his teeth and said, Great. I did not expect you to be an inborn expert. What a surprise. However, even if you are an inborn level expert, you will still pay the price for messing with us." The young master of the Nine Lotus Sect no longer had the same composure as before. He stood up and put on a set of blue gloves beside him. Feng Huazi sat to the side, eyes shimmering, watching Wang Xian cautiously. Wang Xian held Zhan Lu and continued walking towards them. Chapter 379, Bloodbath 5. "Be off and die!" the young master of the Nine Lotus Sect snarled as he leaped over to attack Wang Xian in a single shift of stance. His face darkened while the blue gloves he wore shone in sapphire rays with a lotus motif embroidered in the middle. A lotus mirage had formed above the palm with the glove, as it emitted bouts of ominous energy. Ranked the 5th on the outstanding young heroes chart, an inborn expert with a bright future. Why then are you courting doom? Wang Xian called out as the young master of the Nine Lotus Sect lunged at him, to which he raised his Zhan Lu sword and slew over with ease. Humph! A renowned miracle doctor at such a young age. Why, then, are you courting doom? The young master shot back with an icy gaze. As he did, a sound resembling that of tidal waves crashing blasted from his body. Suddenly, the lotus in his palm ballooned. "How dare you kill our disciples of the Nine Lotus Sect? For that, you all shall remain here," the young master snarled. Whoosh! The long sword in Wang Xian's hand went straight for the young master's palm. As the Zhan Lu sword slew right above the lotus mirage, it emitted sound which mimicked flowing water. while the aura of the young master only seemed to gain strength. Yet the Jean Lu sword sliced through the water lotus in his hand, and continued to slay toward the blue glove. "Such a sharp, long sword!" the young master shrieked in surprise as his face flinched, although he continued his attacks using his palm. This lotus glove of his was a level 9 weapon, which feared no saber or sword. Blob. However, at the very instant his palm came into contact with the long sword, the young master gasped in fear while his face contorted. Bam! Ah! A blood-curdling scream rang in the air. This made everyone in the crowd look on with wide eyes as they stared at the young master's palm, utterly disturbed. The palm had been split completely, as the cut extended all the way towards the arm. It almost caused the entire arm to be mutilated into 2 halves, and looked utterly appalling. One move, and the 9 Lotus young master has been seriously injured, one cried out. What sword is that? How could it be this sharp? The blue glove worn on the young master's hand is no mediocre weapon, another yelped. To think of factionless doctors able to take the 9 Lotus young master down with a single strike. How's this possible? The third squawked. To think you've maimed my arm. To think you've cut my arm up, the young master cried with piercing screams. Eyes wide, he looked at his right arm which had been split apart and roared as he trembled. Behaving like you're all high and almighty. Your fate was sealed the moment you injured my little sister. Wang Xian rebuked. As he did, the movements of his arms showed no signs of stopping as the Jean Lu sword he held slew once again, this time aiming straight for the limbs of the young master. You dare to, the young master snarled in fright. In reflex, his body shuffled backwards for retreat while his desire to escape accelerated his speed. In the end, like the many disciples of the 9 Lotus sect earlier, one strike of the sword was all it took. The esteemed young master of the 9 Lotus sect stood rooted with eyes wide, as they filled with despair. Bam, bam, bam. While the arms detached themselves, the legs gave way and broke, and the entire body just slumped onto the floor. To think you dare to, the young master muttered. He was still in disbelief at such an outcome. Just a minute ago, he was still the esteemed young master of the 9 Lotus sect, one who had been placed on a pedestal. But now his body had been dismembered. How does he possess such formidable prowess? Stop! The experts from our sect will be coming out from the ancient tomb shortly. If you dare kill our young master, all of you will die. Several disciples from the 9 Lotus sect warned as they circled the entrance of the ancient tomb. They shouted in fear upon seeing their dismembered young master. Wang Xian did not heed their warnings, but instead glanced over at the young master who was now trembling violently. The once dashing young master was now staring with hopelessness, having lost all the confidence and prestige of the strong from before. Fresh blood gushed out of his body. Wang Xian then raised his long sword and turned to look at Feng Huazi, who was sitting at his side. The latter was now overwhelmed with fear and shock. How dare you maim the young master of the 9 Lotus sect? Feng Huazi snapped as he supported his arms on the table beside him while glaring intensely at Wang Xian. I'll let him live a while longer so he can watch the wipeout of the 9 Lotus sect. Wang Xian replied indifferently as he looked back at Feng Huazi. Previously, I made a mistake by not killing you, but this time I won't give you another chance. He added, You dare to kill me? I'm from the Sacred Followers Guild. You dare to kill me? Feng Huazi grimaced while he glowered at Wang Xian. If you dare kill me, the Sacred Followers Guild won't let this slide. No matter how powerful you are, if you dare to kill me, the Sacred Followers Guild will hunt you down and kill you. He continued, So be it. I'm guessing that your master is here as well. So, I'll let you watch your master die before I slaughter you. Wang Xian dismissed the warnings. He then wielded his sword and struck in Feng Huazi's direction. Don't you dare! Feng Huazi shrieked while his face contorted. His abilities were nowhere near the inborn level. Moreover, given his now handicapped body, his combat powers were merely that of a level 3 to 4 martial artist. With him having absolutely no means of resistance, Wang Xian went straight in and chopped off Feng Huazi's legs. "You, the Sacred Followers Guild won't let you off. How dare you hurt me? The Sacred Followers Guild won't ever let you off." Feng Huazi let out an ear-piercing scream. "If the Sacred Followers Guild doesn't give me an explanation on this matter, I'll wipe the Sacred Followers Guild out." Wang Xian hollered with murderous intent. "TSK, how savage!" a voice from the crowd yelped. "To think he said he'll wipe the Sacred Followers Guild out. He's simply too impudent." Another gasped. As the crowd heard Wang Xian's words, their hearts stirred. Annihilating the Sacred Followers Guild? Even sacred sects would not dare to make such frivolous comments. To think a factionless doctor would have the guts to face the sacred grounds of a medical sect. The hearts of 9 Lotus sect disciples quivered. To think the young lad standing in front of them was savage enough to talk about annihilating the Sacred Followers Guild. Little wonder he had maimed their young master, given such unrivaled impudence. When the ancestral sect experts are out, this insolent lad will end up in a plight worse than death, one of them scowled. The disciples stared apathetically at the insolent lad as they kept vigil over him. Just then, the disciples heard an utterance coming from the insolent lad. "Kill all of them, every one of the 9 Lotus sect disciples," he ordered. "What?" the crowd around screeched, utterly taken aback. There were slightly over 30 remaining disciples of the 9 Lotus sect around, but they had not made their moves earlier, as most of their combat abilities were below level 8. To think that this miracle Dr. Wang was about to begin his massacre right now. Boom, boom. 2 bouts of daunting forces surged right at them just as they ended their words. Immediately, the crowd snapped their heads back in horror and looked in the direction of Mo Qinglong and Mo Yuan. The 2 inborns projected a stance that far exceeded one of an ordinary inborn expert. Whiffs of devilish aura circled about their bodies along with their ferocity. This mortified the martial artists, and they held their breath for a split moment with apprehension in their eyes. Mo Qinglong began to make his move, but he did not attack the disciples of 9 Lotus sect. Instead, he arrived alongside a young man who stood further away. Just earlier, this young man had called Wang Xian a dork, sneering with much sarcasm. He thus deserved death. Meanwhile, the young man nearly peed in his pants as he looked at the aggressive and sadistic Mo Qinglong. "No, don't kill me," the young man pleaded in fear as he retreated backwards. "Die," Mo Qinglong hollered as he lashed his dragon claws and struck directly at the young man. "Stop right there! How dare you hurt our mortal sect disciples?" a voice ordered. Everyone who had made it into the cave were from first-class forces, while this young man had belonged to the mortal sect. The other voice belonged to an elder of the same sect, as he stood in the center of the rest. The elder possessed inborn-level powers. He hollered when he saw Mo Qinglong blatantly slaughtering his sect disciple, striking a counterattack with his palms at the former as he did. Bam! As the elder's palm met with Mo Qinglong's claw, his face twitched before he receded. "You dare block our path? Then I'll have to wipe all of you out first." Mo Qinglong snarled as his body oozed with a murderous vibe. Behind him, Mo Yuan lunged forth at the mortal sect elder in a single leap and began to attack. What? Annihilating them over a mere disagreement in exchange? The crowd gasped. Chapter 380, Bloodbath 6. You guys. When the inborn expert from mortal sect saw Mo Qinglong and Mo Yuan charging towards him brimming with killing intent, fear flashed across his eyes. He was aghast and looked to be filled with fear. The 2 men before him were too domineering. They attacked his disciple out of nowhere. When he tried to stop them, they wanted to kill him. Domineering and arrogant. If you can't stop the mouth of your disciple from spouting nonsense, we can only let him shut up forever. If you dare to stop us, we'll just have to slaughter you. Emo Qinglong swung his claws of the devil dragon rampantly. Dreadful and strong devilish aura was mixed with his bloodlust. This caused the inborn expert from the mortal sect to be overwhelmed with fear. This momentum was something he could never withstand. Moreover, there was another incredible expert beside him. This expert also had an identical devilish aura and wasn't someone he could stop. I'm just trying to protect my own disciple. Fear flashed across the eyes of the old man. Facing two experts who were determined to kill, desperation slowly crept in. Rumble. In the second strike, Mo Qinglong and Mo Yuan attacked together. Arg, I'll fight it out with you guys. Incredible aura erupted from the inborn expert from the mortal sect as he growled loudly. Bam! However, the all-out attempt from the inborn expert only managed to stop the attack from Mo Yuan. Mo Qinglong's claws of the devil dragon penetrated through the body of the old man from mortal sect and smashed him heavily onto the ground. The old man from mortal sect was killed on the spot, just because the disciple from his sect was vulgar and he tried to protect his own disciple. The surrounding crowd shivered in fear. Even the inborn experts of these sects and families felt horrified. What incredible strength! Within the inborn realm, they have likely reached the pinnacle. It is especially so for that middle-aged man. He has likely reached the half-step to Dan realm. SSS, our disciples previously. Several inborn experts turned solemn. They recalled their disciples criticizing Wang Xian previously. Although they didn't use any vulgarities, the two men before them couldn't be judged with rationality. Domineering and brutal. Because of a single comment, they had killed the old man. No, don't. At this instant, the young man who had been rude previously crumpled on the floor in fear. He looked at the corpse of the expert from his sect as fear and desperation slowly overwhelmed him. Rumble. As Mo Yuan waved his arm, a stream of monstrous, devilish flames fell onto the young man. The young man stared, opening his eyes wide as his body was reduced to ashes before the astonished crowd. Mo Qinglong and Mo Yuan turned their attention towards the mortal sect. No, don't kill us. We have nothing to do with them. Don't kill us. When the disciples from the mortal sect felt their gazes, their eyes were filled with horror as they begged for mercy. The disciples from the mortal sect were truly terrified. The mortal sect only had two inborn experts, and one of them was killed right before them. Moreover, he wasn't even able to put up a fight at all. This petrified them with fear. It's all the fault of that damned brat. He shouldn't have mocked that young man. Mo Qinglong and Mo Yuan looked across them, seeing the spineless disciples of the mortal sect. All they felt was contempt. Moving again, they attacked the group of dumbfounded disciples of the Nine Lotus sect. Arg! In an instant, pitiful cries resounded within the sky mountains. None of the disciples of the Nine Lotus sect had managed to escape from this massacre. The fresh blood and pitiful cries resulted in a heavy and solemn atmosphere around the crowd. They are going to annihilate the entire Nine Lotus sect. An inborn expert looked on in shock as the young man with the long sword walked towards the back of the wheelchair and pushed the girl towards the cave. This way, please. At this moment, the disciples of a few other forces, who were guarding the entrance of the cave, immediately opened a path upon seeing Wang Xian approaching. Woof woof! The voice of the heavenly hound resounded. It wagged its tail as it moved beside the young master of the Nine Lotus sect, after which it bit him and flung him towards the side of the cave. It did the same to Feng Huazi and threw him beside the young master of the Nine Lotus sect. You! The young master of the Nine Lotus sect lifted his head and looked around him. Seeing that all the disciples from the Nine Lotus sect had been killed, he couldn't help but feel petrified. Our sect leader won't let you off. He gritted his teeth as he remarked bitterly, I'll not let the Nine Lotus sect have another day of peace. Moreover, I'm going to let you witness it. When Wang Xian heard the young master of the Nine Lotus sect, he lowered his head and said this coldly. Cough, cough. The young master of the Nine Lotus sect shivered in fear. Fresh blood oozed out from his severed limbs as vitality was slowly leaking from his eyes. No matter what the outcome would be, his future had been determined. From the high and mighty young master of the Nine Lotus sect, who held extremely great powers and an inborn expert, he had become just a handicapped person now. Furthermore, he might very well die from these injuries. This made it hard for him to swallow the truth as he slouched on the floor, feeling hopeless. Why did I offend a Death Reaper like him? The Sacred Followers Guild won't let you off. They will definitely not let you off. From the side, Feng Huazi cursed incessantly. Wang Xian responded with a cold and mocking smile. Around them, the corpses of the disciples of the Nine Lotus sect were scattered all around, filling the sky mountains with the scent of blood. Wang Xian stood at the entrance to the cave and waited silently for the people of Nine Lotus sect and the master of miracle, Dr. Feng Huazi, to return. Around him, all the other forces were hesitating and eventually chose not to leave. They wanted to witness the outcome. The sun set gradually. It was already into the winter season. As a gust of chilling wind blew past, the surrounding martial artists unconsciously pulled their clothes closer to their bodies. The chilling sensation they felt wasn't just from the chilling wind. It was also from the situation around them. Corpses were scattered around them, and the scent of blood filled the atmosphere. Ta-ta-ta! They are back! The sounds of footsteps broke the silence of the surroundings. The crowd felt their hearts skip a beat as they stared attentively at the cave. Ha 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 ha! An inborn spiritual weapon and the ancient spiritual sword technique. My Nine Lotus sect shall kindly accept them this time. The ancient spiritual sword technique is extremely powerful. Among all the known sword techniques, it could easily rank among the top 3. It is said that it is comparable to the Sacred Seas sword technique of the Sacred Seas of Swords. With this sword technique, the strength of the Nine Lotus sect will increase substantially. Brother Wan, can you give me the Nine Lotus Ocean as soon as possible? My disciple still requires it for treatment. Rest assured, Brother Feng. Since Brother Feng has asked, I would naturally not reject. From the cave, the sounds of a conversation propagated out. Soon, a group of people emerged from the cave. The group that came out wore black attire. At the forefront of the group were 2 old men, and they looked a little exhausted. The raiding of the ancient tomb had brought them substantial rewards this time. Scent of blood. When the 2 old men picked up the smell, their eyebrows knitted together instantly. Chapter 381. Bloodbath 7. What's the situation, clan leader? A middle-aged man asked with a frown. He was currently standing behind the crowd, dressed in all black, and raised the question upon smelling the blood stench like the rest. This, the clan leader and elder of the Liu Yun family trailed off. They had been walking at the front of the group while looking around to assess the situation. They were astonished by the sight ahead. They glanced across the ground. In the face of tens of dead bodies, dressed in white with a black lotus motif, it was obvious that these were members of the Nine Lotus sect. When their sight landed on the area beside the cave exit, their faces twitched in shock. 2 grotesque-looking bodies lay next to the cave opening. One of them was wearing a white robe embellished with a black lotus motif and appeared very familiar, while the other also resembled a close acquaintance. It's the young master of Nine Lotus sect, plus Feng Huazi, disciple of Elder Feng. The duo cried out with a heavy look. They scanned around once more. There was no one from the Nine Lotus sect in sight, only dead bodies of their members. These few here, a voice quizzed. In reflex, the group looked ahead immediately and saw a young man pushing a wheelchair while he hovered outside the cave entrance. He was accompanied by a young maiden in the wheelchair. The pair was standing by the cave entrance in silence, as if waiting for those inside to come out. A sanguinary vibe, one asked. Move along, Luyan clan leader! The rest of the forces hurried in confusion, as they were further inside the underground cave and hence oblivious to the scene ahead. With their gazes fixed on Wang Xian and company, the two elders who donned all black attire leaped into the air with one move. As they landed above the cave entrance, they guarded against the surroundings in vigilance. Clan leader, several voices greeted. It came from the members of various forces, as well as several middle-aged men dressed in black robes, as they hurried their way over to meet the clan leader. The disciples of the remaining forces also ran over to receive the experts from their ancestral sects. What's the matter? The two elders of the Luyan family asked their disciples with a burdened look, after a brief glance at Wang Xian and company. Clan leader, the disciples called out. They eyed Wang Xian and the group in fear, before continuing with their updates on the situation. What happened? One questioned. What's the matter with 9 Lotus Young Master and Miracle, Dr. Fenghuazi? The others chimed in. Right then, the rest of the forces who were following behind had managed their way out. They shouted at the horrifying sight. The disciples who had been waiting for them outside the entrance hurried over to narrate what happened. What's the situation? Make way for the 9 Lotus sect, an elder demanded, while his voice boomed with dominance beneath the cave opening. Hastily, all the forces stepped back to the sides. With a burdened look, they eyed Wang Xian's group of 6. But as they turned back to look at the experts from the 9 Lotus sect, their eyes glowed. The experts were walking over from the furthest edge of the underground cave. The news delivered by the group of disciples had simply overwhelmed them. To think that Miracle Dr. Wang, a mere factionless doctor from Rivertown, had the guts to come all the way here in order to wipe out the 9 Lotus sect. They knew that a battle would break out this time, at the tragic sight of the 9 Lotus Young Master and Miracle Dr. Fenghuazi. How come there's blood stench coming from above? Why, did some reckless fellow attempt to barge in? A chubby, middle-aged man asked. He had just emerged from the underground cave with all smiles. Sect leader, a weak voice called out. The chubby elder was slightly puzzled as he turned over. Yet, when he lifted his head to check, the smile on his face vanished. He looked forth in the direction where the voice had come from. In an instant, a murderous aura filled the air. Shaoling! Why have you become like this? The plump elder cried out with a contorted expression. With a single leap, he dashed to the side of the 9 Lotus Young Master as his eyes fumed with fury. What happened? The plump elder demanded. What? Another voice started to ask upon hearing the commotion. Who was it? Who has the audacity to kill my 9 Lotus sect disciple? The plump elder continued. Huazi. The voice who had asked a question before shrieked this time. As all members of the 9 Lotus sect emerged from the cave, they were followed by Fenghuazi's master, the elder from the Sacred Followers Guild, as well as another Miracle doctor from their sect. When they saw the surrounding scene, their eyes went bloodshot with bellicose howls. As he growled, the plump elder turned to face the 9 Lotus Young Master who was on the ground. Shaoling, who did this? Tell me, who did this? I'll make sure to tear him to pieces, he cried with an awful look. They're out. Wang Xian exclaimed with a smile, as he saw that all members of the 9 Lotus sect had stepped out from the cave. Ha! The crowd asked in bewilderment as they looked over at Wang Xian, whose voice had drawn their attention. Elder Feng, who was beside Fenghuazi at the time, looked over immediately upon hearing the voice. Rivertown's Miracle Dr. Wang. Elder Feng called out in recognition. Elder Feng's focus landed on Wang Xian after scanning his group of 6. Is this your doing? He asked with a narrowed gaze, as it filled with savagery. Yep, this is just the beginning. You guys are next. Wang Xian nodded, before he proceeded to draw his sword. How dare you kill my 9 Lotus sect disciples? I'll make you wish you were dead. An elder snapped upon hearing Wang Xian's words. He darted over with one leap and began to attack. With few questions asked and few details fussed over, he with the guts to kill the 9 Lotus sect disciples, and the audacity to land the youth leader in such miserable plight, shall die. 9 Lotus sect? I wonder who gave you the courage and audacity to harm my little sister. Wang Xian retorted. Taking a stance, he sprung forth to meet the elder heads-on. You're courting doom, the elder hollered. With his inborn level prowess, he exuded a chilling force of dominance. Humph. Wang Xian grunted sarcastically as his sword flashed past. One strike of the sword. Again, one strike of the sword was all it took. The elder smacked in Wang Xian's direction with his palm. But, after the sword struck right back, the elder's attack halted to an abrupt stop. And the wipeout begins. Wang Xian announced as he withdrew his sword. With one quick shift, he bolted towards the crowd from the 9 Lotus sect and began to strike. Ha! The 9 Lotus sect members uttered with a puzzled look, as they looked on at the elder who had initiated the attack. Why had the elder's attack halted so abruptly? Bam! Under the astonished gaze from the 9 Lotus sect members and the rest, the elder's body crashed onto the floor, while he looked on with enlarged pupils. Blood gushed out from his neck in copious amounts. Killing the elder with one strike of the sword, one uttered. Oh no! Another cried out in realization. Upon realizing that their elder had actually died, everyone from the 9 Lotus sect looked over at Wang Xian, who was now coming for them as they shrieked in panic. Kill him! The 9 Lotus sect leader ordered, as he glared at Wang Xian with eyes wide. Kill! All the experts from the 9 Lotus sect chimed in unison. As they aimed at Wang Xian, they lunged forward with their palm strike. Pat, pat, pat. Wang Xian wielded his long sword and slashed away at the bodies of the 9 Lotus sect experts with incredible speed. While he was not versed in swordplay, Wang Xian was backed by his formidable combat powers. Coupled with the boost from his inborn level weapon, it was a piece of cake for him to slay those whose abilities were a level below his, which made killing the inborns as easy as slaughtering livestock. What? How can it be? How can he be this formidable? The onlookers gasped. They were astonished by the ease of the young man as he killed an inborn expert with one strike of his sword. The ease of defeating the 9 Lotus young master may have taken them by surprise, but given that he had just achieved his inborn status, defeating him in one move was not impossible. Yet, right now, even the experienced and reputed inborn expert had been slain with one strike of the sword. And in particular, it was the long sword which the young man wielded, which had also begun its massacre on the numerous experts of the 9 Lotus sect, taking them down one after another, one strike at a time. Chapter 382, Total Annihilation. So powerful, so powerful. A person in a single strike. All of them were killed in a single strike. How could Miracle Dr. Wang from Rivertown have such insane strength? He's just 20 and yet ranked 9th on the Miracle Doctor's chart and has the strength that easily kills inborn experts. What kinds of insane talents does he have to reach this level? Amidst the sky mountains, the surrounding crowd looked in shock. A young man with a long sword in his hand was slaughtering the entire 9 Lotus sect without reservation. A person in a single strike. All the experts from the 9 Lotus sect, including inborn level experts, were all falling with a single strike. His strength is incredible. When the sect leader of the 9 Lotus sect saw the experts in his sect being killed easily, he felt a chill running down his spine. Staring coldly at Wang Xian, he clenched his fist tightly. How dare you kill our people from the 9 Lotus sect? Die now. Seeing elders and attendants of the Nine Lotus sect falling one after another, the sect leader of the Nine Lotus sect was burning with anger. He moved and attacked Wang Xian directly. The aura around him was no inferior to Mo Yuan. As he moved his palm, his aura had the momentum of a deluge and swept towards Wang Xian. The surrounding martial artists, who weren't at the inborn realm, immediately retreated. What an incredible miracle, Doctor! He has hidden his strength too. Well, previously, a master alchemist, a miracle doctor, and now he's also an inborn expert. Elder Feng stood by the side and witnessed the horrifying acts of Wang Xian. He couldn't help but feel a chilling sensation as his expression turned exceptionally bitter. For a person like him, even if we can't become friends, we can never become his enemies. Otherwise, Elder Feng clenched his fist tightly. A razor-sharp weapon that resembled a surgical knife appeared in his hand. We must definitely kill him. Otherwise, there will be countless troubles in the future. Ruthlessness gleamed in the eyes of Elder Feng. If Miracle Dr. Wang were just a master alchemist or a miracle doctor, he wouldn't be wary of him at all. As an elder of the Sacred Followers Guild, a miracle doctor or an alchemist wouldn't concern him, even if this person was a genius. However, if the same person possessed insane strength, he couldn't just overlook him any further. In the underworld, strength dictated everything. An insanely talented young man like him would likely have an 80% chance of entering the Dan realm in the future. He could never allow a person like him to get stronger. Kill! Elder Feng shouted coldly. Horrifying aura erupted from his body. The miracle doctors around him followed closely behind him. In their hands, they had identical surgical knives. The elders of the Sacred Followers Guild are taking actions. Oh gosh, why would the Sacred Followers Guild want this young man dead? That miracle Dr. Wang crippled the disciple of the elder in the Sacred Followers Guild. It's only natural that they want to kill him. In fact, the entire Sacred Followers Guild might just attack him. When the surrounding crowd saw Elder Feng attack, they were shocked. Wang Xian's eyes were chillingly cold. Seeing Feng Huazi's master and the sect leader of the Nine Lotus sect approaching him, he waved his arm. A dazzling golden glow emanated from Zhanlu. That sword is emanating dazzling golden light. Why am I feeling the treasured sword in my hands trembling violently? What is happening? Inborn spiritual weapon. That sword is an inborn spiritual weapon. The crowd exclaimed and stared fervently at Zhanlu in Wang Xian's hand. Inborn spiritual weapon. It's no surprise why it's so sharp and could kill an inborn expert in a single strike. The sect leader of the Nine Lotus sect gritted his teeth and shouted, "Die!" A huge 5-meter palm struck towards Wang Xian with the momentum of a deluge. Boom! How dare you injure my disciple? Today, I'm going to annihilate you. Elder Feng pierced his weapon towards Wang Xian coldly. On the weapon, a chilling light gathered into a point and seemed capable of shooting through all objects. He, seeing over 10 people attacking him from all directions at the same time, Wang Xian plunged Zhanlu into the ground coldly. BZZ, BZZ, BZZ. At that instant, the surrounding crowd felt as though they were being dragged into a dazzling gold world. Rays of golden light coalesced into sharp weapons and attacked in all directions from Wang Xian within a radius of 20 meters. What, this is a sword domain? Elder Feng, the sect leader of the Nine Lotus sect, and the rest, who were charging towards Wang Xian, were in shock to notice the razor-sharp weapons that appeared from nowhere. That's a powerful sword, but you will still die. The sect leader of Nine Lotus sect drew a circle around him with his palm. The next instant, a water screen appeared around him. The water screen was just like Tai Chi as it rotated gradually around him. Using minimal force, he swept aside the razor-sharp swords. Ha! Elder Feng let out a loud cry. At the same time, metallic aura emanated from him and surrounded him completely. It was as though he had turned into a golden Vajra. As the sword energies fell on him, sounds of metal clashing resounded. This is really glamorous and cool. Wang Xian looked around him. With the energy of the metal divine dragon, he incited the razor-sharp edge of Zhan Lu and coalesced them into countless razor-sharp sword energies, after which he attacked in all directions within a 20 meters radius around him. At that instant, he felt as though he was controlling thousands and thousands of swords. However, you guys are still going to die. Wang Xian placed his hand on Zhan Lu and smiled gently as he gripped it. Die. At this instant, the palm of the sect leader of the Nine Lotus sect was already above Wang Xian's head. With a gruesome expression, he smashed down heavily. However, the golden light on Zhan Lu shone even brighter. Strong and dazzling golden rays caused everyone to tear. Everyone in the surrounding crowd had now looked away as a painful sensation cruised in their eyes. Roar! Suddenly, everyone heard a horrifying roar. The golden rays coalesced into a 5-meter-long divine dragon that met the palm of the sect leader of Nine Lotus sect directly. The metal divine dragon emanated bone-piercing rays. He opened his huge jaws and attacked the sect leader of the Nine Lotus sect directly. What? The sect leader of the Nine Lotus sect was horrified to see Wang Xian's head turning into a horrifying divine dragon. Retracting his palm, the Tai Chi water screen around him emitted strong blue light and circulated even quicker. Bam! The metal divine dragon swung its claws towards the water screen, directly. Bam! Dreadful energy of the metal dragon split the defense of the sect leader of Nine Lotus sect easily, and the claws struck heavily into his body. Fresh blood spattered everywhere. Bam! Having knocked the sect leader of the Nine Lotus sect down in a single strike, Wang Xian swung his tail towards Elder Feng and the rest. Boom! Strong and powerful dragon energy landed on the bodies of the surrounding people. What? Elder Feng was greatly shocked and immediately pierced the razor-sharp weapon in his hand towards the dragon tail. Dang! What he heard was the sounds of metal clashing, following which tremendous force fell on him. Boom! As the dragon tail swept across, all the people fell to the ground. Whoosh! The divine dragon disappeared and countless long metallic sword energies appeared once again. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Countless sword energies struck towards the people on the ground. Arg! Pitiful cries filled the atmosphere as the surrounding crowd felt their hearts palpitating violently. Chapter 383. Top of the Outstanding Young Heroes chart. What happened? To think the piercing rays of the metal element have stretched over an area of 20 meters in radius. One gasped. It's too petrifying. Is this the combat prowess above the inborn level? Another squeaked. All around, the crowd quivered at the endless stream of spine-chilling cries. The area, which was now concealed by the metallic sheen, had made it impossible for them to check out the combat situation inside. Suddenly, the crowd was taken by storm. As the golden sheen disappeared gradually, they began to peer in its direction. Slowly a figure emerged. It was a young man with a long sword in his hands, while the weapon was rooted upright into the ground. Countless scratch marks marred the surrounding ground surface. Alongside lay the corpse of the miracle doctor and elder from the Sacred Followers Guild, together with several bodies of the Nine Lotus sect experts. To think that one person can take down 4 inborn experts. Such formidable capabilities. So that's the prowess of Miracle Dr. Wang from Rivertown? Simply wicked. The crowd murmured at the sight and looked on in disbelief. A young man in his 20s, who is also a miracle doctor ranked 9th amongst all within the underworld, had such formidable powers to add. Single-handedly, The young man had defeated all experts within the Nine Lotus sect, as well as the elder and miracle doctor from the Sacred Followers Guild. Such an extraordinary gift is unrivaled and unprecedented, be it in the past or future. Even the first on the Outstanding Young Heroes chart would pale very much in comparison. The two elders from the Luyun family commented as they exchanged glances. Both of them could sense the intense astonishment from the other party. Such a character was deemed to have unparalleled achievements, as though a dragon had managed to ascend to the highest of skies. Few flamboyant moves which expended too much energy, especially with my serious injuries, are gaudy and impractical. Wang Xian commented while raising his head, before he pulled the Zhan Lu sword out from the ground and looked around. Ahem, ahem. Ahem, ahem. Just then, sounds of two coughing could be heard, as two silhouettes began to pick themselves up off the ground. It was the sect leader of the Nine Lotus sect, along with Elder Feng. "They're dead! To think that they're all dead!" the Nine Lotus sect leader exclaimed with a dazed look. Up till now, he remained clueless as to why the young man had annihilated the Nine Lotus sect. This made him shudder. As he raised his head to look Wang Xian in the eye, the Nine Lotus sect leader pleaded with a tinge of misery, "Can you tell me what feud you have with my Nine Lotus sect?" Upon hearing his words, Wang Xian let out a brief smile before he proceeded over and stared at the Nine Lotus sect leader. "The poison which my little sister's been struck with is affiliated with your Nine Lotus sect." Wang Xian replied apathetically as he pointed to Xiaoyu in the wheelchair. "What?" the Nine Lotus sect leader gasped with eyes wide, shocked by the sight of Xiaoyu, who was wheelchair-bound. This young maiden, based on his knowledge, was a disciple of a second-class force, and also the younger sister of a miracle doctor. Earlier, he had agreed to the decision of his good friend, Elder Feng, when the latter suggested that Nine Lotus young master inject a poison into the young lady's body when they were exchanging blows. How could a second-class force compete with them, the Nine Lotus sect? How could a miracle doctor match up against the elder of the Sacred Followers Guild? From what he had seen, it was nothing more than the death of one on the spot. He had not expected the elder brother of this young lady to actually be this terrifying. Those formidable powers were definitely not of the inborn realm, but at least a half-step to Dan realm. He dared not imagine it as any level beyond. What do you want?" the Nine Lotus sect leader asked in trepidation. With an awful expression, he wiped the fresh blood off his face. "Haha, what do I want? Haven't you seen it for yourself?" "I want," Wang Xian responded before he raised his Zhan Lu sword, "not one surviving soul from your Nine Lotus sect." "You," the Nine Lotus sect leader uttered. But the Zhan Lu sword came down on him even before he could continue. As he paused, he felt a sharp pain searing at his chest. With widened eyes, he eventually fell to the ground. After withdrawing his Zhan Lu sword, Wang Xian looked over at Elder Feng, who stood to the side. Elder Feng watched as the Nine Lotus sect leader was killed, and narrowed his eyes at the sight of the latter's death. He gazed over at Wang Xian with a contorted look. "The antidote is kept within the Sacred Followers Guild. If you let me go, I'll give you the antidote. Otherwise, the poison in your little sister's body can never be neutralized." Elder Feng spoke to Wang Xian in a lowered pitch as his eyes glistened. Feng Huazi said that this poison does not come with an antidote, and even the sect leader of your Sacred Followers Guild is unable to neutralize it. Wang Xian spoke flatly as he eyed Elder Feng. Upon hearing this, Elder Feng's face flinched, despite which he continued with an awful expression, "This poison comes with an antidote. Regardless of this, you'll have to die," Wang Xian retorted, as he shot Elder Feng a look of disregard. He raised the Zhan Lu sword in his hand. "What, you?" Elder Feng uttered. Wang Xian did not bear the slightest hesitation. Regardless of the antidote's existence, he and Feng Huazi would have to die. Should there be an antidote, he would stomp over to the Sacred Followers Guild and ask their leader for it. Should there be none, those close to Feng Huazi shall perish with him. He really killed him. To think he really killed the Sacred Followers Guild elder right on the spot. One shrieked, slaying the elder of the Sacred Followers Guild. This is no doubt a slap in the face to the sacred sect. Justified or otherwise, the Sacred Followers Guild will have to seek revenge for Elder Feng. Another added, this miracle Dr. Wang from Rivertown is really menacing, having killed 4 inborn experts from the Nine Lotus sect, as well as the elder of Sacred Followers Guild. No one knows how things will develop from here. In the face of such a powerful existence, even the Sacred Followers Guild will have to treat this matter seriously. The third chimed in. Everyone continued to look on in astonishment, having witnessed the killing of the Nine Lotus sect leader and the Sacred Followers Guild elder by Wang Xian. With his long sword in hand, Wang Xian came over to the sides of the Nine Lotus young master and Feng Huazi before bending down. As of now, the two had been overwhelmed with despair. While they trembled, their eyes with Wang Xian's as though the devil had descended upon them. Didn't think of this, did you? That you would end up in such a state for staging an attack on my little sister? Wang Xian asked as he looked at the young master. Eyes filled with tears, he sank his head as his face looked dead as dust. Isn't it good to be well and alive? Why did you seek death? Wang Xian concluded before standing up, and began to take aim with his sword. This is an ancient tomb, how apartment. It'll do as your burial ground. Wang Xian added. Upon hearing the comment, everyone around shuddered. They looked at the young man, both in awe and trepidation. Thereafter, they watched as the young man walked to the side of the wheelchair and smiled at his younger sister before the duo left with the former pushing the wheelchair. The rest continued to watch, with no less trepidation than fear, even as the duo went further away. Behind the crowd, Mo Qinglong and Mo Yuan approached the bodies of the Nine Lotus sect members. They retrieved the long sword, also an inborn spiritual weapon, along with the secret manual of the ancient spiritual sword technique, before following behind the sibling duo. Simply too powerful. How could such a formidable youth exist in this world? One of the onlookers gasped. What do you guys reckon of his prowess? Do you think he's half-stepped to Dan realm? Another quizzed. The forces left behind crowded around and began to buzz as they watched the figure disappear. Several inborn experts, who were closely acquainted, exchanged glances before frowning. I think he's at half-step to Dan realm, an elder from the Luyan family murmured. Likely the inborn realm. I saw his last defining strike, where the long sword was rooted into the ground while he held it with both hands. It's likely that the last stance was executed by the inborn spiritual weapon in his hands. Another contested. One from the inborn realm killing 4 inborn experts all at once. Well, the 4 are all very formidable inborn experts, too, the third argued. Half-step to Dan realm's too inconceivable. I reckon he's a pinnacle inborn, so he can still achieve what he did. Under the boost from an inborn spiritual weapon, the last suggested. The interactions between the few inborn experts continued, while they shuddered at the sight of the bodies which were sprawled all over the place. The prowess of the Nine Lotus sect had suppressed that of all other forces present. They were also the ones to have gained all the recovered treasures from this ancient tomb excavation, while the rest showed 0 signs of resistance. Yet this was also the powerful ancestral sect which had been annihilated by a young man, using one long sword. The ancient tomb ended up as the cemetery of the Nine Lotus sect members. Based on the young man's tone, his gang had no intentions of letting the Nine Lotus sect off. This was an utter extermination of the sect. The top of the outstanding young heroes chart goes to that young man. The underworld is once again experiencing an upheaval, a voice declared. Chapter 384. Underworld shocked. The car left from Sky City, heading towards Rivertown. It was a 6 to 7 hour journey. Within the span of this time, this incident caused a huge uproar in the underworld. The underworld had the Underworld website to facilitate the flow of information between martial artists, issuing missions and announcing some matters. The underworld had never been peaceful. Each day, there would be information about certain families being annihilated, certain experts being assassinated, or certain experts reaching the inborn realm. To put it simply, the underworld was a fast-changing and lively place. All the sects and families paid close attention to the Underworld website to understand what was happening around the underworld. Today, a shocking piece of news was released on the website. Subsequent to the annihilation of the Dark Conjurers, this was the second incident that shocked the entire underworld. In the forum of the Underworld website, a thread with a shocking headline popped up. Miracle Dr. Wong from Rivertown annihilated the Nine Lotus sect with his own hands. All the experts of the Nine Lotus sect were killed. Furthermore, he has killed Elder Feng from the Sacred Followers Guild and his disciple, Feng Huazi. When the thread appeared, it instantly attracted the attention of everyone. The Nine Lotus sect was a powerful first-class force. They had 5 known inborn experts, among which the young master of the Nine Lotus sect was the most famous. He ranked 5th on the Outstanding Young Heroes chart and had reached the inborn realm in his 30s. His exceptional talents were even better than the saints and saintess of several other sacred sects. This was a powerful sect with substantial numbers of talents emerging. Among the first-class forces, they were also one of the strongest. To become an elder in a sacred sect, one undoubtedly had to be an inborn-level existence. Moreover, the elders of the Sacred Followers Guild were also largely powerful miracle doctors. Their names might not appear on the miracle doctor's chart, but their medical techniques wouldn't be any inferior to the top 10 on the chart. Yet, these 2 powerful groups had been annihilated. When the people clicked into the threads, they saw photo after photo of corpses. These included the elders and disciples of the Nine Lotus sect. Other than those, there were photos of corpses of Elder Feng and his followers from the Sacred Followers Guild. When the people saw the large number of experts' corpses, they couldn't help but shiver. For days ago, an ancient tomb was revealed in the Sky Mountains in the Sky City. Many forces would likely know about it. In the end, several powerful sects surrounding the Sky Mountains occupied the area. Among them, the Nine Lotus sect occupied the most central position. A saintess from a second-class sect also rushed to the ancient tomb in Sky City. She had a clash with the young master of the Nine Lotus sect and was severely injured and gravely poisoned by him. That young girl was the saintess of the Thistles and Thorns sect and its future sect leader. At the same time, she's also the sister of Miracle Dr. Wong from Rivertown. Miracle Dr. Wong from Rivertown is the youngest miracle doctor on the Miracle Doctor's chart and ranked 9th on it. Poison Doc once complimented him. It is said that Miracle Dr. Wong from Rivertown not only possesses incredible medical techniques, but he is also a level 3 alchemist. His talents are exceptional, and it wouldn't be an exaggeration to call him the proud son of heaven. Today, Miracle Dr. Wong pushed his sister in a wheelchair and brought 2 inborn experts with him to the ancient tomb in Sky City. With just a single sword with him, he easily crippled the young master of the Nine Lotus sect and slayed the disciples of the Nine Lotus sect. When the sect leader of Nine Lotus sect returned from the ancient tomb with the other experts of the sect and Elder Feng from the Sacred Followers Guild, Miracle Dr. Wong from Rivertown slew all of them with a single sword. Holding his inborn spiritual weapon in his hand, he fought with over a dozen experts and killed all of them. A miracle doctor, alchemist, and dreadful inborn expert at the age of 20. Looking through history, he's definitely the only one. Among this generation of youths, who can possibly match him? Who can possibly match him? A simple introduction together with several photos instantly shocked everyone who saw the thread. The first comment on the thread was by the person who had started the thread. Miracle Dr. Wong from Rivertown is truly too insanely strong. With just a sword, no one could stop him. Nine Lotus sect could be considered to be a very powerful sect, yet they were annihilated by him alone. I have witnessed this with my own eyes, and I'm still feeling the goosebumps at the thought of it. He's too powerful, killing 5 inborn experts at the age of 20 alone. Among this generation of youths, who could possibly be a match for him? The thread had only been up for 5 hours, but had gathered over 50,000 replies. The fervent attention paid to it pushed it to the front page. Is this real? The Nine Lotus sect is a very powerful first-class force. They have several inborn experts. How could a 20-year-old young man annihilate all of them? Unbelievable. When I saw this thread, I couldn't believe my eyes. Is this even possible for a person to be so demon-like? The 4 first-class forces, Luyun family, West Mountain sect, Emptiness sect, and Lawless Mountain sect, were all present and had witnessed it with their own eyes. I was there too, and the whole matter was even more astonishing than what the forum starter had described. A 20-year-old miracle doctor, alchemist, and inborn expert. Moreover, he's factionless. How could this miracle Dr. Wong from Rivertown be so insanely talented? He's too incredible and demon-like. 20 years old. How can there ever be such a demon-like existence? The incident has been verified. The strength of miracle Dr. Wong from Rivertown is truly shocking. However, he has killed an elder from the Sacred Followers Guild. This matter won't just end as easily as this. As the saying goes, those whom the gods favor often die young. Although the talents of miracle Dr. Wong from Rivertown are truly exceptional, the Sacred Followers Guild will not let him off for killing Elder Fong from the Sacred Followers Guild without reservation. I wonder how the Sacred Followers Guild will respond. With their pride as a sacred sect, this matter won't end so peacefully. The Sacred Followers Guild will most likely take action. Giving this demon-like existence another 10 years, he might very well reach the realm above the inborn realm. What an incredible talent! Some people believe that miracle Dr. Wong from Rivertown has already attained strength above the inborn realm. I just wonder if they are right. Shocking! The outstanding young heroes chart has been updated. The former number 1, young Master Hailong, has been pushed down to the 2nd spot. Miracle Dr. Wong from Rivertown has made it to the top. Moreover, he's the youngest of all. If Miracle Dr. Wong from Rivertown survives, he will definitely be similar to the island master of Sea Serpent Island in the future. As just a single person, he would be an existence that could match up to an entire sacred sect. On the Underworld Forum, all the martial artists were discussing, fervently. There were even people who were certain that if Wang Xian did not die prematurely, he would definitely play an important role in the underworld in the future. A 20-year-old inborn expert was already enough to impress everyone. Moreover, this 20-year-old expert could even annihilate a powerful first-class force alone and kill the elder from a sacred sect. This piece of news spread rapidly to the upper management of each sect. Regardless of their location, it was also quickly conveyed to the sect masters of these sacred sects. A 20-year-old existence that could slay 5 inborn experts was indeed worthy of their attention. All kinds of information regarding Miracle Dr. Wong from Rivertown quickly reached the hands of the experts from various families and sections. The whole underworld was shaken because of Wang Xian. All the martial artists were astonished by Wang Xian's strength, those terrifying gifts and demon-like talents. He was someone who put the other youths of this generation to shame. Chapter 385, Sacred Enforcers 1. Birds were flying in the sky above an island with viridescent trees, and a kind of captivating flower grew on the island. The beach was enchanting with a group of vintage-looking buildings in the middle. The entire island was like a wonderland. At this time, a group of young men was lying before a wooden house on the beach. There were babes by the side, snuggling affectionately beside these young men. Her? Something big happened in the underworld. Just then, a young man exclaimed with astonishment while he was looking at his phone. Things happen in the underworld every day. Why? What caught your eyes? A young man in a black swimming suit was caressing the babe beside him as he spoke with a smile. Hailong, you're no longer the first on the Outstanding Young Heroes chart. Miracle Dr. Wong from Rivertown, age 20, has annihilated 9 Lotus sect and slew an elder from Sacred Followers Guild. That young man was appalled as he scrolled through the thread posts. What? Someone replaced Hailong and took over the number 1 in the Outstanding Young Heroes chart? Several young men sat up around him as they cast their attention to that young man. Only one young man, who was wearing a yellow robe with a golden dragon embroidered on it, did not sit up. He squinted his eyes slightly. It's true. He went up against 4 inborn experts alone and killed all of them. What a great strength he has. The Outstanding Young Heroes chart reviewed him as the 20-year-old demon-like genius. He killed 4 inborn experts with a sword. The formidable results landed him the first position on this chart. Several young men exclaimed in shock. He killed 4 inborn experts at the age of 20. Just like what the underworld's critics said of him, a demon-like genius. Let me take a look. The young man in a yellow golden dragon robe stretched out his hand and spoke to the other young guy at the side. Look, Brother Hailong. That man quickly walked over and handed his phone to him. With inborn spiritual weapon, he slew 4 inborn experts alone. When the young man read the story on the phone, he drew his lips and said, Perhaps I have not made my move for a long time. As he spoke, he returned the phone back to that young guy and sat in his chair without taking this to heart. Brother Hailong, your strength is... When the group of young men heard his casual tone, their eyes narrowed as they tried to sniff out some information. If my dad contains his strength at Inborn Realm, I can exchange over 10 strokes with him. Hailong said nonchalantly. What? The group of young men was stunned, with disbelief on their faces. The ability to exchange more than 10 strokes with his father was extremely fearsome. Hailong's father was ranked 2nd on the Outstanding Experts chart. He was the true blue, peerless expert and an unrivaled existence. Once his father killed an inborn expert with just 1 finger, shocking everyone in the underworld. Yet, Hailong was able to exchange more than 10 strokes with his father, even though he had controlled his level to be the same as his son. Brother Hailong is invincible among the young generation. When that Wang Xian meets you, he will find out what a real outstanding young hero is. That's right, Brother Hailong. If he bumps into you, he'll pale into insignificance in comparison. Every one of them began their bootlicking. Hee, isn't the competition for the young heroes going to start soon? I'll go and have some fun this year, Hailong said with a beaming smile as he looked off, exuding immense confidence and superiority from within. Outstanding Young Heroes chart? The charts in the underworld are all jokes. Killing 4 inborn experts just by yourself at the age of 20? Your strength is quite formidable. But I'll defeat you if I have an inborn spiritual weapon. In a quaint house among the towering mountains, a young man drew his lips as he read the message sent by his subordinate. Amitabha, all martial arts in the world originated from the ancient temple. Finally, I have the chance to go out after staying in this monastery for more than 30 years. Back at an ancient temple, a young monk received an order from his master to make his way out of the mountain. As such, he was smiling from ear to ear. He stroked his bald head and said, What a wonderful and attractive world outside. Oh, I have to make a name for myself. Recently, the underworld has been quite bustling. Hee. The young monk looked greasy on his face with cloudy eyes and didn't look like a monk at all. The underworld was experiencing turbulent times with the appearance of a demon-like genius. Everyone was shocked. At the same time, some prideful talents were unconvinced. The top 5 rankings on the Outstanding Young Heroes chart were all at the Inborn realm. This was a known fact. Many sects and schools also hid their gifted disciples for their safety. As such, more hidden talents remained unknown. After all, there was more than 1 billion people within the country. The probability of a demon-like genius appearing was extremely high. Back at a vast space surrounded by a dense bamboo forest in a grassland, there was a palace sitting in the middle of the bamboo forest. The palace was huge, spanning an area of 10,000 square meters. The entire region was filled with the scent of medicine. If any ordinary people were to stay in this place, they could comfortably live up to 100 years old. There was quite a large amount of herbs planted around the palace. It was incredibly picturesque with the palace pavilions within it. The signboard titled Sacred Followers Guild was hung on one of the main buildings located at the center of the palace. This matter obviously arises because Elder Feng crippled Miracle Dr. Wang's sister with venom. Hence, Miracle Dr. Wang had his killing spree. I think we should plan our moves properly. Elder Yen Shi, our elder of the Sacred Followers Guild, has been killed. What plan do we need? Everyone in the underworld is waiting to see our response. If we don't react to it, I'm sure everyone will think that we're weaklings. We cannot allow this precedent. So what if he is known as the demon-like genius? We should kill him. Since he killed Old Feng, he must die. This is the Sacred Followers Guild's dignity. A group of more than 30 fearsome elders were sitting within the hall. They all shared the same mightiness of a supreme leader as they quarreled within the hall. However, the chairperson's seat was empty as the guild leader of the Sacred Followers Guild was not present. Yen Shi swept his gaze across everyone sitting in front of him with a frown as he said, "The objective of the Sacred Followers Guild is to help each other, ensuring the safety of every miracle doctor. No one will provoke us if we don't do it first. Now, Elder Feng has been killed because of his own doings. Do we have to take revenge for someone who creates troubles?" "Humph, Yen Shi. Shut up. Old Feng is dead, and it hasn't been that long. He's one of our elders in the Sacred Followers Guild. Aren't we avenging him for when he was killed by someone else?" Chapter 386, Sacred Enforcers 2. That's right. No matter who's at fault in this incident, the one who killed them deserves death. This is to let everyone know the consequences of messing with us, the Sacred Followers Guild. Before Yen Shi could finish his sentence, 2 old men seated opposite him shouted harshly, "We will post the image of the corpse of that brat onto the Underworld website and make him the example of the consequences of messing with the Sacred Followers Guild. Send out the Sacred Enforcers. That young man has to be killed. If he had just crippled Elder Feng, we wouldn't have said a further word. However, since he chose to kill him directly, it is a show of disrespect to our Sacred Followers Guild. We have to let him know the consequences." Another 2 old men shouted emotionlessly. Yen Shi frowned and looked displeased. He faced the group of elders and said in a solemn tone, "Let's report this to the guild leader and see what he has in mind before acting. Our guild leader went out to sea 3 days ago, and we aren't sure when he will be back. We can't possibly be waiting for him forever. Yen Shi, since you don't want to be involved in this, shut your mouth. We will lead a few Sacred Enforcers over." At this instant, an old man opposite him stood up and chided. He looked across the group opposite of him. "I'll bring the Sacred Enforcers along with a few elders. We don't need your involvement. TSK." As the old man finished his words, he headed for the exit. 5 elders stood up, followed closely behind, and left. Yen Shi was feeling conflicted. The few other old men around him shook their heads, stood up, and left without saying another word. "Ah, Brother Wang Xian, this incident has been blown out of proportion." The journey from Sky City to Rivertown took 6 hours. Night had fallen when they arrived back at the villa. The moment they stepped in, they saw Sui Huang sitting on the sofa. "Is that so? All I did was annihilate a first-class force." Wang Xian looked at Sui Huang before carrying Xiaoyu to the sofa. Sui Huang took a look at Xiaoyu and shook his head. Brother Wang Xian, your name has shocked the entire underworld now, annihilating the entire Nine Lotus sect, killing the elder from the Sacred Followers Guild, the #1 demon-like genius on the Outstanding Young Heroes chart. Any single achievement is able to shock the entire underworld. You are much better than I was when I was young. You are making it sound like you are better than me now. Wang Xian looked at Sui Huang and made a joke. Upon hearing Wang Xian, Sui Huang raised an eyebrow and was clearly infuriated. Brat, do you want to have a fight now? With my experiences, I will easily crush you to the ground. I shall not be calculative with an old man like you. Seeing that night has fallen and you are still here, I believe you aren't just interested in telling me this, right? Wang Xian smiled and sat beside Sui Huang. What, am I not welcome? Sui Huang stared at him and started scrutinizing him from head to toe. He squinted his eyes and commented, Are your arts of refining elixir pills really as incredible as the rumors have claimed? You can now refine level 3 elixir pills easily? I guess so. I'm a demon-like genius, and am not someone you can compare with. Wang Xian chuckled, and his lips curved into a smile. You! Sui Huang choked on his words and stared harshly at him. You are really arrogant, now that you have killed an elder from the Sacred Followers Guild. They will definitely not let this go easily. Old Huang isn't in the Sacred Followers Guild currently, and the matters of the guild are managed by the group of elders. I believe they will be giving you trouble soon. As Sui Huang spoke, he looked to Wang Xian. I haven't managed to get in contact with him. When I do, please let this matter rest. Huh. Wang Xian was taken aback by what Sui Huang had said. The old Huang that he was talking about was most likely the guild leader of the Sacred Followers Guild. Give me troubles? TSK. Murderous intent gleamed in Wang Xian's eyes. This matter isn't something he could just put to rest on his side. Sui Huang sensed the murderous intent in Wang Xian's eyes. He frowned and asked in a solemn tone, What are your thoughts then? Wang Xian leaned back on the sofa, looked to his side, and saw Guan Shuqing chatting with Xiaoyu. Subsequently, he remarked coldly, If the Sacred Followers Guild has the antidote, this matter could be put to rest. If they don't, all the families and kin of that elder phone will have to die. As he spoke, he looked to Sui Huang. I don't wish to see an incident like this for a second time. Sui Huang felt his heart skip a beat when he met Wang Xian's eyes. His eyebrows gradually knitted together. The overly confident young man before him wasn't his junior. Instead, he was a terrifying expert that could equal him. As an expert, he would have his pride and bottom line. Clearly, the elder from Sacred Followers Guild poisoning his sister with lethal venom had completely breached his bottom line. At this point, it was no longer the issue of whether the Sacred Followers Guild would seek revenge. Instead, it was whether this young man would let this matter slide. The elder of the Sacred Followers Guild had poisoned his sister because he was taking revenge for his disciple. This put Wang Xian on the defensive. Will there be others attacking him once again to seek revenge for that elder? As an expert, Wang Xian would never let this happen again. He was going to crush this idea that people might be harboring against him. In that case, he had to ensure the deaths of all his potential enemies. This was a very domineering method, but was also a method often used by strong experts. Experts wouldn't let this type of risk linger on. Brother Wang Xian, can you hold back and not act at this moment? Within 5 days, I let old Huang give you a satisfactory answer, said Sui Huang as he looked to Wang Xian. Huh. Wang Xian was stunned for a moment by what Sui Huang said. Subsequently, he nodded his head and answered, All right, since old Sui, you have requested this, I shall listen to you this time. 5 days. If this isn't settled in 5 days, I will go to the Sacred Followers Guild. All right, 5 days are enough. Sui Huang revealed a smile. 5 days was enough time for him to contact the guild leader of the Sacred Followers Guild. As long as he explained the situation, old Huang should know how to handle it. This matter had started because of an elder from the Sacred Followers Guild after all. All right, the old man shall leave. Regarding your sister's situation, I'll ask some of my old friends and see if they have any solutions. My dear disciple, your master shall be leaving now. We will start on refining elixir pills tomorrow. After exchanging some pleasantries with Wang Xian, Sui Huang stood up and headed for the exit with a smile. After Wang Xian finished his dinner, he returned to his room and looked up the Underworld website on his computer. Seeing that all the comments were about him or matters related to him, he chuckled nonchalantly. He could be considered as a rather low-profile person, as he would leave some matters for the Dragonians to handle. If this incident didn't concern Xiaoyu, he wouldn't have acted personally. However, since he did, so be it. If he became known throughout the underworld, so be it. As for those comments about him being likely to die young as he was favored by the gods, he simply chuckled upon seeing them. It was still not certain who would be dying first. After Lan Qingyue and Guan Shuqing returned home, Wang Xian continued browsing for some time before getting into the bed. He was pondering about the situation of Xiaoyu and Elder Fong. I'll bring them to the Dragon Palace in 5 days' time. Just as Wang Xian was resting, the underworld was still discussing fervently about what had happened today. When it was close to 10 p.m., a new thread appeared suddenly. Miracle Dr. Wang from Rivertown shall die for killing an elder from our Sacred Followers Guild. It was from the Sacred Followers Guild. Chapter 387, Center of Attention 1. Boom! When the thread appeared, the entire underworld was overwhelmed by the sanction coming from the Sacred Enforcer and a response from the Sacred Followers Guild. Every sacred sect had a law enforcement department to deal with some external underworld matters. In another way, to exhibit the mightiness of a sacred sect. Sacred Enforcer was the law enforcement department of the Sacred Followers Guild, targeting any clans and families who were going against the Sacred Followers Guild. As the only law enforcement team of the Sacred Followers Guild, they had extreme powers. The entire team was comprised of 4 inborn experts. If they faced stronger opponents, they could send out the elders of the Sacred Followers Guild. Among all the sacred sects, the Sacred Followers Guild was the only sect that was formed by aligned ties. Their guild leader was the #1 most powerful existence on the Miracle Doctor's chart. The rest who joined were either formidable miracle doctors or experts who received kindness from some of the miracle doctors. The elder team of the Sacred Followers Guild had a strong presence as well. Each of them possessed a strength that was inborn and above. On top of that, they had impressive connections. The sacred sect that was formed by the various miracle doctors was ranked at number 6 among 9 other sacred sects. They were just short of some foundations. But even so, a sacred sect is, after all, a sacred sect. Not many people could withstand a killing order or a sanction from a sacred sect. Even as mighty as the assassin organization, the Dark Conjurers, was, they could only hold up when the sacred sect issued a killing order to get rid of them. Not to mention, it was an assassin organization that was good at hiding. Now, it was only a factionless doctor, regardless of the fact that he was known as the demon-like genius now. Everyone hurriedly clicked on the thread. Under the thread title, there were a few words. The dead body shall be revealed. Everyone in the underworld was stunned and shocked. Looks like the Sacred Followers Guild is utterly outraged. They gave a response immediately on the underworld website that night, announcing that they would be revealing the dead body. That was an explicit announcement telling everyone that they are going to kill Miracle Dr. Wang from Rivertown. Now that the Sacred Enforcer team has made their move, I bet they are rushing down to Rivertown tomorrow. This time there should be 6 to 7 inborn experts, or even more. He's doomed. Not many people can survive the killing order from sacred sects unless Miracle Dr. Wang of Rivertown decides to go on hiding without Sacred Followers Guild finding out. Could this rare, demon-like genius get punished by the Sacred Followers Guild? But thinking of it, that's the price he needs to pay for killing an elder of the Sacred Followers Guild. Some of them from the Underworld website sighed after they saw the thread published by the Sacred Followers Guild, in which their response did not come as a surprise to them. As a sacred sect, it was normal for them to take revenge for killing one of their elders, despite the fact that the other party was equally strong with demon-like talents. Compared to those who analyzed objectively, there were more people who were gloating at the misfortune or even beginning to sneer at Wang Xian. Sacred enforcers fight anyone brazen. After Wang Xian, there will be others. Who asked you to be insolent? I bet you're shocked now. Haha, what demon-like genius. How dare you play punk? Now you're getting punished. Anyone going to Rivertown tomorrow? Let's watch the demon-like genius getting himself killed, and we can take a photo too. Haha, all the geniuses in the world who have not grown up are all trash. Only when you're a grown-up can you call yourself a genius. So what if you're a demon-like genius? You're getting punished anyway. Many martial artists in the underworld jeered at it. A 20-year-old demon-like existence had attracted much jealousy. Now that he was going to be punished, they were all excited, rejoicing in other people's misfortune. Many people were getting ready to make a trip to Rivertown to watch how the demon-like genius get himself killed. It was more exciting to watch with their own eyes. So what if you're a demon-like genius? You're going to get killed. The entire underworld was bustling at night. At the break of dawn, the weather was gloomy. With Rivertown in the rainy season, the sky was gray and the rain was going to fall. Young master, here's the announcement from Underworld. Mo Qinglong was looking cold as he walked over when Wang Xian was carrying Xiaoyu and Elder Fong to the roof in the morning. What did it say? When Wang Xian saw him, he poured himself a cup of tea and walked towards the yard, gazing at Xiao Ran, who was cultivating. Sacred Followers Guild announced on the website that they will be punishing you to avenge the elder of Sacred Followers Guild, said Mo Qinglong. Her. Wang Xian froze for a moment and looked at Mo Qinglong. He raised his eyebrow and squinted his eyes. Are they going to punish me? Young master, this was the announcement released by Sacred Followers Guild yesterday. As Mo Qinglong spoke, he handed his phone over. Sacred Enforcer is the department in Sacred Followers Guild that deals with external affairs. They are formidable and represent the entire sacred sect. Wang Xian, read the message on the phone with a smile on his face. I was going to look for them. I did not expect they would come looking for me. Now the 4 inborn levels Dragonians are at the villa by the side. So is Mo Yuan. A trace of murderous intent flashed in Mo Qinglong's eyes. No matter the number of people who turn up or who they are, leave no one alive. Wang Xian handed the phone back to Mo Qinglong with coldness in his eyes as he watched Xiao Ran practicing. Currently, Xiao Ran was already in martial artist level 9. It would be slightly challenging to attain a breakthrough to half-step to inborn. Perhaps he would take a few years and probably another 10 or so for the inborn level. Of course, that was under the circumstance that he did not take any spiritual grass or elixir pills. If he had sufficient elixir pills as supplements, he could make a breakthrough to inborn realm within a short time. As for the killing order of Sacred Followers Guild, Wang Xian did not take it to heart at all. He was resting in his villa, enjoying his leisure time. While doing so, a group of strangers stormed into Rivertown. About 7 or 8 luxurious black Audi cars drove in from another province with middle-aged men and some elders sitting inside. Beside them were all the razor-sharp weapons, exuding formidable mightiness. All of them were in black uniforms with Sacred Followers Guild words in the middle of their shirts. The 2 cars that were driving at the forefront held all the elders. Each one of them gave off a vibe of a supreme leader. As the 8 cars steered towards the sea, their target was the Supreme Sea's development zone. Apart from the 8 unified Audi cars, There were also dozens of cars driving towards the Supreme Seas Development Zone 2. All the young men were sitting within the luxurious sports cars, driving at an extreme speed. Vroom. As the vrooming sound was heard, all the sports cars were already parked at the entrance of the Supreme Seas Development Zone. Apart from those sports cars, there were some SUVs, totaling to more than 30 luxurious vehicles. All the dashing young men stepped out from those cars one by one. Some of them had babes in their arms as they smiled from ear to ear, while some of them were simply thrilled. Chapter 388, Center of Attention 2. Young Master Jiang. Ha! You are pretty early. A young man alighted from a Lamborghini and walked towards the young man in a Porsche a short distance away as he spoke. I'm here for a show, and it's only natural for me to arrive early. The men from the Sacred Followers Guild should be coming soon. I might miss it if I'm late. Young Master Jiang had a head of red hair. He smiled as he observed his surroundings. There are quite a number of people who came for the show. Haha, of course. We are talking about the most demon-like genius and the #1 person on the Outstanding Young Heroes chart. The fact that he will be punished soon is naturally a draw. From an SUV that was nearby, a plump man alighted with a smile. I'm so jealous of him. At the age of 20, he's a miracle doctor that ranks 9th, a powerful alchemist, and a horrifying inborn expert. I would be so happy that I would wake up from my dreams if I had any one of his achievements. A handsome man who was wearing a suit and tie alighted from his vehicle. He looked towards the villa as he sighed emotionally. Jiang Yuan, Gouda, Lu Kaiping, you guys must be really free to come all the way here. Aren't you the same too? Otherwise, what would you be doing here? I came here to witness if this miracle Dr. Wong of Rivertown is as incredible as he is in the rumors. Several young men alighted from their vehicles. Some knew one another while others didn't. However, all of them were part of the ancient martial arts circle, and thus would at least have heard of one another's names. Jiang Yuan, isn't this Supreme Seas Development Zone a seaside development of your family? The young man in a suit walked towards the red-haired Jiang Yuan and asked with a bright smile. That's right. It is developed by one of my family businesses. Jiang Yuan smiled and nodded. Miracle Dr. Wong of Rivertown stays here. He is not an ordinary man. No one in Rivertown dares to mess with him. He's not just capable. Based on the information I have gathered, Miracle Dr. Wong embarrassed the Flame Palace during their pilgrimage. Nonetheless, Flame Palace has since been annihilated, the young man in a suit said with a bright smile. However, his eyes were filled with jealousy. Having such terrifying strength and authority at the age of 20 would make anyone envious, including elites from these famous families and sects. Flame Palace was just a newly promoted sacred sect and paled in comparison to the Sacred Followers Guild. Since Sacred Followers Guild have made such claims, they definitely have the confidence to follow it through. Jiang Yuan smiled and continued, My only question now would be if this miracle doctor has escaped. Based on my sources, he is still in the villa. I wonder where he gets his confidence from to wait here for the sacred enforcers. TSK, the young man in the suit snorted. The villa is by the sea. If he wishes to escape by the sea, it won't be easy to find him. You are right. If he were to escape to the sea, even the experts from Sacred Followers Guild would not be able to do anything. However, if he were to escape today, he would have to lower his head and live in shame in the future. Jiang Yuan nodded in agreement. What do you guys think? Will Miracle Dr. Wong from Rivertown escape? A young man walked over and asked loudly. Another young man smiled and made his conjecture. This is really hard to say. However, my own personal view is that the chances of him escaping are over 70%. Haha. Regardless, I'm going to start a thread on the Underworld website and do a live stream for all to see. A young man took out his phone, took some photos of the surroundings, and started crafting a thread on the Underworld website. Title of thread, Punishment of the Sacred Enforcers. Will the demon-like genius cower like a turtle, or would it put up a resistance against the sacred followers? Let me make my conjecture first. The genius miracle doctor, Wang, will definitely be dead. A thread that was filled with mockeries and some photos of the surroundings was started by the young man. At this moment, a young man exclaimed, "The vehicles of the Sacred Followers Guild are here!" Instantly, silence shrouded the area. Although they were all rich young masters, they were nothing in front of the Sacred Followers Guild. Moreover, those that came this time were the sacred enforcers and elders from the Sacred Followers Guild. A single elder from the Sacred Followers Guild was already more powerful and influential than their entire family. 8 Audi cars stopped at the entrance of the Supreme Seas development zone, and a group of people alighted from these vehicles. Those are the elders of the Sacred Followers Guild, and there are 5 of them. They have sent 5 elders. The surrounding group of young men were astonished to see these old men alighting from the first 2 vehicles. The 5 old men's identities were evident from the clothes they wore. Look behind them. Those 2 enforcers are captains of the enforcing teams. Oh gosh, they have sent 2 captains over. The rest of the group is made up of 20-odd half-step to inborn experts. Oh gosh, the team that's been deployed this time is so powerful. 7 inborn experts and 20-odd half-step to inborn experts. Considering the strength of the team that is here, the Sacred Followers Guild appears to be determined to kill Miracle Dr. Wang from Rivertown. As the elders of the Sacred Followers Guild are well versed in medical knowledge, their attacks are much stronger than ordinary inborn experts. They are definitely not the same as the inborn experts from the 9 Lotus sect. 7 inborns. Seems like the Sacred Followers Guild are placing emphasis on this issue. This miracle Dr. Wang is doomed. The surrounding group of young men discussed softly among themselves. As for the young man who had started a thread on the Underworld website, he enthusiastically took photos of the experts from the Sacred Followers Guild and uploaded them immediately. Sacred Followers Guild has deployed 5 elders and 2 captains of the enforcement teams. If Miracle Dr. Wang doesn't escape, he will definitely be killed. After editing his captions and attaching the photos, he sent them out immediately. At this very moment, the appearance of this post attracted the attention of umpteen martial artists in the underworld. The whole thread was exceptionally active, and the audience was waiting anxiously for new updates. Damn it, 7 inborn experts. This is enough to annihilate a few first-class forces. Sacred Followers Guild has indeed acted quickly. This miracle Dr. Wang of Rivertown is doomed. This is the consequence for offending a sacred sect. Even such a demon-like genius is about to be killed. A genius will be falling today. There were new comments made in this thread every second. The Underworld Forum was incomparably lively, and countless martial arts families and sects were paying attention to it. Greetings, elders from the Sacred Followers Guild. I am Jiang Yuan from the Jiang family of the Northern City. This property belongs to our Jiang family. Let me bring you over. Jiang Yuan mustered up his courage, walked towards the elders from the Sacred Followers Guild after seeing them alighting from their vehicles, and spoke deferentially. The few elders from Sacred Followers Guild looked at Jiang Yuan and glanced at the group of young men who were here to watch a show. The elders were nonchalant about their purpose and waved their hands. Bring us over. One of the elders said plainly, Yes, elders, please follow me. According to my sources, that brazen miracle Dr. Wang is still in the villa. However, I don't know if he has escaped by now. Chapter 389. Since you are here, don't bother leaving one. How dare he kill the elder of our Sacred Followers Guild? Even if he escapes to the ends of the earth, he's a goner. An elder sat emotionlessly as he headed inside. Beside him were 4 other elders who looked on with a face of apathy, while a group of aggressive-looking sacred enforcers followed behind. The looming sense of brutality sent chills to the group of youths nearby. Even though they were merely tagging along at the back, They could clearly sense the overpowering aura coming from the sacred enforcers. With his back slightly bent forward, Jiang Yuan directed the way for the group from the Sacred Followers Guild by taking the lead. The crowd, made up of scores of men, walked into the villa with faces of intense somber. Towards the end of the path, they arrived at a villa by the sea. Jiang Yuan turned towards the elders of the Sacred Followers. "Elders, this is the villa. Miracle Dr. Wang is right in this villa," he explained respectfully. "This is the place," one of the elders asked flatly. With narrowed eyes, he looked beyond the entrance gates of the villa, which was currently wide open. "He's really obnoxious, leaving his doors wide open. Is he waiting for us to enter?" Another elder commented with glistening eyes. "He's asking for doom," a burly elder in the middle snorted before striding into the villa with wide steps. "Be careful, old Hu. Watch out for traps," another elder cautioned as he watched from the back. "Humph! Then I shall experience for myself the powers of this wicked genius." The burly elder dismissed the advice with little regard. Thereafter, he braced himself while a powerful force of aura surged from within his body and filled out every inch of space his attire could hold. "Let's go!" the elders who had yet to make a move called out before following behind and making their way into the villa. "Let's tag along. Since the elders from the Sacred Followers Guild did not chase us away, let's follow behind." The rest of the group whispered amongst themselves. "Let's distance ourselves further away, lest we get implicated should a fight really break out later," one of them reminded. "Don't worry, given the prowess of the Sacred Followers Guild, they'll crush that fellow. We're very safe behind them," another disagreed. These youths who had tagged along behind the elders hesitated for a brief moment before following behind their steps into the villa. Boom! A loud blast resonated across the sky. The weather was overcast as dark clouds loomed above before rain started to pour. "Trespassers who take even one step into the villa shall die," a voice spoke apathetically to the crowd, to which the crowd of youths looked inward in astonishment. Within the courtyard, a young man was resting beneath the parasol by the swimming pool, with a tea set placed beside him. The young man sat idly while raising his head to gaze at the light drizzle with a calm and serene face. Alongside the young man were 7 others, which consisted of 4 youths and 3 middle-aged men. It was the middle-aged man who stood nearest to the young man that spoke. Amongst the septet, no one could tell the exact background of the 4 young men. As for the 3 middle-aged men, one of them looked very eye-catching with his really lengthy hair. "Ha ha!" The burly elder who had arrived by the door let out a dry laugh. His mouth hung slightly open while he stared at the young man beneath the parasol. "You're the lad who killed Elder Foam? Miracle Dr. Wang of Rivertown?" the burly elder asked before he strode inside as ferocity raged in his eyes. "Trespassers who take even one step into the villa shall die," another plump elder laughed as he looked at the warning sign beneath his feet before marching in. "A factionless doctor who killed our Sacred Followers Guild elder and pit himself against us. I wonder who gave you such courage. Or should I say, I wonder what gave you the confidence, such that you dare utter these words?" The plump elder continued. Meanwhile, the other elders flooded their way in one by one. Immediately after, they were followed by a group of over 20 sacred enforcers who shot the 8 ahead a murderous look. "Come on, let's get inside too. Trespassers shall die. What a joke. How obnoxious for someone who's about to meet his doom." Jiang Yuan smirked as he watched members of the Sacred Followers Guild make their way in. As he joked, he slighted the 8 inside the villa dismissively, shooting them a look of disregard. "Haha, since they've said that trespassers shall die, I'm all the more tempted to get in." Another youth dressed in a suit giggled as he skipped into the villa. At the back, the youths who followed along began to scurry in one by one without a care. As for the middle-aged men who mentioned how trespassers shall die, have they shrugged it off completely. Perhaps they're still unaware of how powerful the forces of the Sacred Followers Guild will be this time. A youth laughed to himself as he smirked, while posting about the situation online. He took a couple more photos and attached them along with his post, smiling as he did. We've entered the villa of Miracle Dr. Wang from Rivertown. Beside him are 7 others. What made me laugh, though, was how they said, trespassers who take even 1 step in shall die. Haha, how hilarious. The youth chuckled till his eyes formed slits. As he laughed, he raised his head and looked into the villa. Wow, 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 he cheered. Wang Xian, you've killed our Sacred Followers Guild elder. Accept your doom. Just then, the ringing of swords being drawn from their sheaths could be heard. One by one, the sacred enforcers began to flash the weapon in their hands. The atmosphere within the villa was overwhelmed with an omen of carnage. Astonishingly, even the raindrops dispersed themselves towards the perimeter and beyond, as if in fear. Huh. Wang Xian snickered as he lowered the teacup in his hand onto the table. Raising his head, he looked up and scanned the crowd of experts from the Sacred Followers Guild. I did not look for you people. Little did I expect you guys to come, looking for me instead. Splendid. Wang Xian laughed. Obnoxious and arrogant young lad, the burly elder chided as he looked at Wang Xian, who sat somewhat aloof. I have to say, young lad, that you're really impudent. To think you've got the nerve to be waiting for us here. Right now, you've dug your own grave. So I'll leave you a complete body, he added. A wicked genius who has been regarded as a rare occurrence in this millennium. Did you think that you're already invincible? How dare you disregard our Sacred Followers Guild? I'll give you a chance to end your own life now. Another elder mocked, right after the burly elder finished. Just as the second elder ended his words, a terrifying stance oozed from his body and forced its way over in an attempt to cocoon Wang Xian. Ha! We'll give you a chance to self-terminate, the rest of the elders chimed in unison. As they took a step forward, they, too, were oozing with the same stance. Meanwhile, the group of sacred enforcers swiveled the weapon in their hands as they stood behind. Boom! Their threatening tenor filled the air within the villa. Across the sky, deafening thunder clapped once again as the drizzle grew into a thunderstorm. Blob, blob. Yet there was still not a drop of rain within the entire villa, as they had been blocked off by the powerful stance. Being tough as steel, the stance simply terrified all. Simply formidable. They're really too powerful. With 7 unrivaled inborns and over 20 half-step inborns, they could even take down 9 to 10 inborn experts. One of the onlookers praised. The elders of the Sacred Followers Guild are too forceful given such stance. Even our clan leader falls behind by a huge gap, I'm afraid, another agreed. To think that even the rainwater is been forced out of the perimeters. Their stance is truly rock solid. Such is the powerful force of a sacred sect. With so many experts, what enemies can they not take out? The third gasped. This young lad is doomed, the last sniggered. Chapter 390. Since you are here, don't bother leaving too. Just commit suicide now. You are courting death by killing an elder from the Sacred Followers Guild. That's right. Get on your knees and commit suicide. A sacred sect isn't someone a factionless doctor like you can afford to offend. Demon-like genius? Number 1 on the outstanding young heroes chart? So what if you are? If you offend us, even a genius will be sent into his coffin. Feeling the stifling and horrifying aura from the group of experts of the Sacred Followers Guild, the 30-odd young men who had followed behind were exhilarated and started ridiculing Wang Xian loudly. Commit suicide. Sacred Followers Guild is indeed brazen. Asking me, Wang Xian, to commit suicide? Wang Xian stood there and looked at the crowd before him. His expression turned cold as he lifted his head. An elder from the Sacred Followers Guild poisoned my sister. I promised a senior that I would only look for you guys 5 days later. It appears now that my decision then was wrong. Today, Every single one of you can forget about leaving, said Wang Xian. At the same time, he curled his fingers slightly into a claw. Haha, you are still thinking of resisting? Fine. Today, I shall kill every single one of you in the name of punishment of the Sacred Followers Guild. The burly elder broke into laughter upon seeing Wang Xian's reactions. He pulled out a long sword from his waist as he waved his arm. I, Hu Fu, shall behead you personally to avenge old Feng and in a memorial to his spirits. Haha, the Sacred Followers Guild wants to punish me? Since you guys are here, don't bother leaving. As Wang Xian completed his sentence, he charged towards the group of elders from the Sacred Followers Guild. Haha, you are indeed worthy of your name. This kind of arrogance is incomparable. Seeing Wang Xian charging forward, the burly elder laughed brazenly. I shall claim your life. Kill! The burly elder struck, and the other elders behind him shouted coldly in unison. In an instant, the 7 inborn experts from the Sacred Followers Guild moved. The 20-odd half-step to inborn experts, who were wielding weapons, also launched their attacks at Wang Xian. The solemn atmosphere instantly turned into a savage one. The expressions of the group of young men instantly changed upon sensing the intense killing intent masked in the atmosphere. The genius is about to die. The show has begun. Ha! That miracle Dr. Wang is indeed brazen. He is the first person I've seen who is so arrogant. It will be against all expectations if he survives after acting so brazenly in front of a sacred sect. The group of young men took several steps back and watched in anticipation. They were waiting anxiously for the demon-like genius to be slain. Kill! At this moment, Mo Qinglong snorted coldly upon seeing the Sacred Followers Guild attacking. Rumble! Instantly, terrifying auras could be felt emanating from the 7 of them. Devilish aura circulated around the 6 of them. As for the remaining middle-aged man, he wielded a long sword, and the killing intent from him was even stronger. Show no mercy. Mo Qinglong's voice sounded again. The group of 7 charged towards the sacred enforcers. The aura that the group of 7 emitted shocked the experts from the Sacred Followers Guild. Inborn, 7 inborn experts. The burly elder was astonished, and his pupils dilated. What? There are 7 inborn experts? Those 4 young men are also inborn experts? The elders beside him were also stunned. They looked at the 7 of them and were aghast. These 4 young men looked like they were at most 30 years old. They would never have expected these 4 young men to be inborn experts. A 30-year-old inborn expert would have made it to the top 5 in the Outstanding Young Heroes chart. Even a sacred sect would find it hard to nurture this kind of prodigy. Yet, the 4 young men before them were all inborn experts. Those who oppose us, the Sacred Followers Guild, will be hunted and annihilated. This includes your families and sects. The burly elder shouted gloomily. 7 inborn experts had definitely exceeded their expectations. In their opinion, even though Miracle Dr. Wang of Rivertown had good connections, he could at most call up 3 or 4 inborn experts. However, this was under normal circumstances, considering that he was facing the Sacred Followers Guild, who would be willing to risk offending a sacred sect to help him. The Sacred Followers Guild had been certain after considering Miracle Dr. Wang's connections. It would be a safe estimate to say that only a maximum of 1/3 of them would help him. However, 7 inborn experts appeared suddenly. This completely exceeded their expectations. A force with 7 inborn experts would be considered very strong within the underworld. For this enforcement mission, only 7 inborn experts were deployed. Kill! Leave no man alive! Ruthlessness flashed across Wang Xian's eyes. The next instant he moved and appeared beside the burly elder. His fingers bent like a dragon claw and were packed with dreadful powers. Arg! However, before Wang Xian's attack connected, pitiful cries erupted from the surroundings. The 4 Dragonians who had just reached the Inborn realm had charged into the group of 20-odd half-step to Inborn experts. Complete domination. With the strong bloodline and powers, the Dragonians could be considered as above average among Inborn experts despite just having reached the Inborn realm. The Dragonians could easily kill these experts who were just at the half-step to Inborn realm. What? 7 Inborn experts. How could this be possible? How could this be possible? How could he summon 7 Inborn experts? Moreover, they have no qualms with killing the sacred enforcers of the Sacred Followers Guild? Are they all willing to make a sacred sect their enemy? 7 Inborn experts. 7 Inborn experts. How did he call upon so many experts? Furthermore, these experts are willing to stand up against the Sacred Followers Guild. The surrounding group of young men was astonished when they saw the 7 Inborn experts. No one would have expected that the people who stood beside the young man were 7 Inborn experts. Those 4 men were at most in their 30s. How could they be Inborn experts? Where did these Inborn experts come from? Jiang Yuan's looked in fear at these Inborn experts that had appeared suddenly. The miracle doctor did not escape because he was confident in his strength. He didn't mind making the Sacred Followers Guild his enemy. The young man in a suit was stunned as he mumbled. Around him, the other young men were all dumbfounded. The sudden appearance of 7 Inborn experts together with Miracle Dr. Wang, who was ranked number 1 on the Outstanding Young Heroes chart. This force. Sacred Followers Guild can't kill him, remarked one of the young men with a gloomy expression. Arg. Old who? Elder who? Suddenly, a wretched scream propagated throughout the villa. The group of young men was taken aback and immediately turned towards the direction of the scream. What? As they looked over, their eyes widened and were slowly filled with horror. At this moment, the burly elder had a huge wound in his chest area. His eyes widened and stared in fear at the young man before him. Bam! Chapter 391. Since you are here, don't bother leaving 3. Bam! The burly elder fell flat onto the ground while all vitals from his body disappeared in a flash. Within a short few seconds, another elder from the Sacred Followers Guild had been taken down, making everyone shudder in utter shock. This had been an elder from a sacred sect, which made him one powerful elder to think he had been taken down with one strike. This time, all the young men could see that the young man had not resorted to using any inborn spiritual weapons. Many within the underworld had rumored that it was because of the inborn spiritual weapon that the young man could defeat inborn experts easily. Yet, the young man had not used any weapons right now. Nonetheless, he had killed an elder from the Sacred Followers Guild under such circumstances. Horror of horrors. Young lad, off to hell you go. Otherwise we, the Sacred Followers Guild, will never rest till one of us dies. An elder from the sect hollered with a contorted look. As he shouted, he aimed for Wang Xian's head with the sharp knife in his hand. Never rest till one of us dies? Then all of you from the Sacred Followers Guild shall perish today. Wang Xian retorted coolly as the energy of the metal dragon made him shimmer in golden. Under the gloomy weather, the glow made Wang Xian shine like a glorious and powerful monarch. As he arched his claws, he slashed 4 other elders of the Sacred Followers Guild who were standing at a side. TSK, TSK, TSK. As his arms swung past, the frightening golden claws lashed at the quartet. The energy of the metal dragon made the 4 elders flinch. Buzz off! One of the elders shouted as his eye twitched in trepidation. The seemingly ordinary attacks from this young man had made him sense an impending danger of death. The golden scratch marks appeared as though they could tear his body apart, causing him to resist them instinctively out of fear. Wang Xian watched with an apathetic look. Given his current powers, getting rid of an inborn was an easy feat. As he saw his claws being restrained by the 4 elders, Wang Xian shuffled them about and turned to strike at the elder who stood in the center of the group. "Scram!" the elder barked as he saw Wang Xian's claws coming for him, while he attempted to block them by smacking his long sword in front of him. Creak-crack! "Ah!" the elder let out a cry. Yet the terrifying claws cut right through the precious sword and stabbed the elder's chest. As the piercing scream rang in the air, the hearts of everyone around palpitated. "You're not of the inborn level. You're definitely not," the elders gasped. At the sight of how easily Wang Xian had taken down their comrade, the remaining 3 elders of the Sacred Followers Guild shrieked with contorted faces, while one of them growled with wide eyes. "An inborn expert can't be this powerful. Even if you're half-stepped to Dan Realm, you can't be this strong either," another elder exclaimed. As he spoke, he stopped his attacks and retreated several steps back involuntarily before looking at Wang Xian in disbelief. He seemed very relaxed after killing one of their elders with a single strike. Such a formidable feat could not have been achieved by an inborn expert. In fact, not even a half-step to Dan Realm. While they also had half-step to Dan Realms within the sacred sect, none of them could match up to the prowess of this young man. As 2 elders had been killed, the remaining 3 from the Sacred Followers Guild shuddered as they looked on with fear. Just what sort of person had they offended? "Haha, did you really assume that I, Wang Xian, fear your Sacred Followers Guild?" Wang Xian snorted as he took a glance at the bodies which lay beneath him. With a shift of stance, he lunged straight at the last 3 elders for attack. "Like I said, all of you will have to die," Wang Xian howled. "You!" The trio shook at the sight of Wang Xian coming for them. Their haughtiness and confidence of the past were now replaced with trepidation. From the looks of it, the mention of self-termination earlier. Ah! Just then, a series of piercing screams rang out continuously, drawing the attention of the 3 elders from the Scared Followers Guild. They saw the leader of the Sacred Enforcers crying out in despair as one of the middle-aged men from Wang Xian's gang seared right through his body. They also saw the numerous members of the Sacred Enforcers getting slayed by the other 5 inborn experts. One by one move at a time. Just how could that young man be this powerful? Little wonder why you'd dare to wait for our arrival here, and why you dare to pit against us Sacred Followers Guild. One of the elders choked with his fists tightened while his face seemed very pale. "How's this possible? This is impossible. Absolutely impossible." The group of young men who had come in hopes of a good show shrieked with eyes wide. They looked on at the sight in front of them in disbelief. To think that powerful experts of the Sacred Followers Guild had been massacred without the slightest resistance. Within a short 2 minutes, 3 inborn experts had been slayed, while the remaining 3 had no means to resist at all. Before this, the elder of the Sacred Followers Guild had mentioned that he was not inborn, so that means one of the youths gulped as he watched in stupefaction. Realm above inborn. He must be at the realm above inborn, being able to slay an inborn expert with such ease. He's definitely a legendary immortal of the land. He continued, "What? How's this possible? He's only 20 years old. How can a 20-year-old be this powerful?" The group of young men stared with wide eyes while their legs nearly gave way due to the thorough shock. It's doomed. All experts of the Sacred Followers Guild are doomed. So it turns out that he had no need to fear the Sacred Followers Guild at all, given such formidable prowess. Little wonder why he didn't run away. Slaying all experts of the Sacred Followers Guild without the slightest reservation. He's out to become their nemesis. Standing in a daze, the young men shook at the sight of the massacre. They had come to witness the slaughter of the demon-like genius, Miracle Dr. Wang, from Rivertown. But little had they expected such an outcome. A reputable sacred sect ended up crushed, slayed with such ease. Ah! The blood-curdling screams rang through the air once again. All the young men looked on bleakly as they watched the final 3 elders of the Sacred Followers guild being taken down. Bam, bam, bam. The corpses lay on the ground, as though the thunder from the sky had blasted right through their hearts. As the screams dissipated, another 20+ corpses were added onto the ground. Subconsciously, the young men receded several steps back. In awe and with fear, they gazed at the young man who remained standing amidst the chaos while not a trace of blood could be seen on him. The young man remained as before, without the slightest stir of emotions, as he appeared calm as still water. But the crowd had witnessed otherwise, how this young man had taken down 5 inborn experts within a mere few minutes, where the 5 were elders from a sacred sect. Blob, blob. One of the youths gulped. As his legs began to turn to jelly, he turned around in an attempt to get out of the villa. He wanted to get as far as he possibly could, away from this hellish place, as his heart surged with an outburst of regret and trepidation. He would never have come here had he expected such an outcome. Shaken, the rest of the petrified crowd also tried desperately to make their escape upon the sight of someone leaving. Like I said, since you're here, don't bother leaving. Right then, a satanic voice lingered in their ears. Chapter 392. Death of the Sacred Enforcers. As I've said, since you are here, don't bother leaving. Rumble. Swish. Torrential rain fell. However, it was not stopped by the terrifying aura this time, and the torrential rain fell in the yard of the villa. Hearing the devil-like noises, the group of young men froze in fear. Although they were thinking of escaping, all they could do now was shiver in fear. The raindrops that landed on their cheeks were eerily cold. Every single one of them was petrified. Wang. Miracle Dr. Wang. This had nothing to do with us. We are just here to take a look. One young man turned and spoke to Wang Xian while shivering in fear. The cold sweat on his forehead together with the raindrops made him look especially wretched. Compared to his high-spirited self previously, he looked like a completely different person. Bam. Miracle Dr. Wang, I know I'm wrong. I'm wrong. But please spare my miserable life. Please let me off. We were blinded to have come. Miracle Dr. Wang, I know my mistakes now. Please give me a chance. Jiang Yuan immediately went on his knees, kowtowed, and begged for mercy. However, it was he who had brought the group of experts from the Sacred Followers Guild previously. Furthermore, he'd added insults. At this moment, as he saw the blood mixed with the rainwater flowing to him, his eyes were filled with despair and horror. He had disregarded all sense of dignity as he pleaded for mercy. Bam! Bam! Miracle Dr. Wang, it was our mistake previously. Please let us off. I am begging you. I kowtow to you. Miracle Dr. Wang, we were wrong. Please spare our lives. Please spare us. All the young men had broken down. When the first one went on his knees, the rest followed quickly. Fear was written all over their faces. Wang Xian looked at them with ridicule and contempt. Just a while ago, they were still gloating over his punishment from the Sacred Followers Guild. What about now? When you came, didn't you hear what I said? Since you came in, you have made your own decision. Wang Xian looked at the group of young men before him. Killing intent flashed across his eyes as he turned around and headed back to the villa. Since they had made their decision, they would have to pay a price for it. No, no. Please don't kill us. The young men were in despair as they saw Wang Xian leaving and the 4 young inborn experts walking slowly towards them. They were shouting for mercy loudly. Arg, arg. However, the screams lasted only for a short while. This bunch of elites from various families and sects would never have expected that coming to gloat at Wang Xian for being punished by the Sacred Followers Guild would lead to their death. Huh. At this moment, Sui Huang appeared at the entrance of the villa. He looked at the corpses in the villa and raised an eyebrow. He then quickly looked towards Mo Qinglong and the rest before shaking his head and leaving. The Sacred Enforcers had been annihilated, and so had the group of young men who came for a show. The sacred enforcement this time ended with total annihilation. However, everyone was still waiting for the outcome on the Underworld website. They were waiting to see the Sacred Followers Guild uploading pictures of the corpse of Miracle Dr. Wong of Rivertown. That post from the young man was still being discussed actively on the Underworld website. The number of replies was increasing at an astonishing speed. Opie, hurry up and update us. What is the situation now? Did Wang Xian get killed? Hurry up! Hurry up! Let us see the demon-like genius corpse. What a shame! A demon-like genius like him appeared before us like a meteor and will be disappearing quickly like a meteor. 7 inborn experts and 20-odd half-step to inborn experts. This will be more than enough to kill Miracle Dr. Wong. Opie, update your post. The replies kept piling up as everyone was rushing the Opie to update his post. They wanted to see the scene of the demon-like genius being killed. Time passed by gradually. 1 hour, 2 hours. Yet the Opie was nowhere to be seen. The martial artists of the underworld were as restless as cats on a hot tin roof. What happened to the Opie? Are you eating shit? Why aren't you updating? Hurry, hurry. What is the situation now? I can't wait any longer. Yeah, just look at the novel Invincible Divine Dragons cultivation system. Their updates are so fast. Why are you so slow? Hurry up and update, Opie. I, your father, have been waiting here for 2 hours. However, just as everyone was waiting for the ending, another thread surfaced. All my friends are uncontactable. Those that have gone to Rivertown for the show are all uncontactable. It has been over 2 hours since I heard anything from them. When this thread appeared, it instantly attracted the attention of many people. When they clicked in and saw the contents, their expressions turned heavy. Last night, many people had decided to head to Rivertown to watch the Sacred Followers Guild kill Miracle Dr. Wong of Rivertown. This was known by many in the underworld. However, all those people who went to Rivertown were all uncontactable. Furthermore, the previous Opie had gone silent after updating it for some time. All these facts, when pieced together, made the rest feel that something wasn't right. Even the Opie who made the new thread felt that something might have happened to his friends. Encountered a mishap? Sacred Followers Guild is a reputable sacred sect. They wouldn't kill those who came for the show recklessly. If that was the case, only one possibility remained. They were killed by others. And the others could only be Miracle Dr. Wong of Rivertown. When someone made this conjecture, everyone was shocked. With the experts from the Sacred Followers Guild around, how could Miracle Dr. Wong kill innocents? What is happening in Rivertown? Where are the experts from the Sacred Followers Guild? Why aren't we getting any information from the Sacred Followers Guild now? I have a bold conjecture. Could it be the Sacred Followers Guild and those who went for the show were all killed by the Miracle Doctor? How could this be possible? The team that was sent down by the Sacred Followers Guild this time around was incomparably powerful. How could they be killed instead? The discussion went on. Gradually, half a day passed. In the evening, a new thread appeared suddenly and took the entire underworld by surprise. We can almost verify that all the experts, elders from the Sacred Followers Guild, and those who went to Rivertown to watch the show have been killed. The poster had the name All-Knowing. It was from the Omniscient Group, the most powerful information agency in the underworld. Once the Omniscient Group confirmed an event, its reliability would be 100%. When this thread was posted out, it was like the underworld experiencing a 10-0 earthquake. The powerful experts from the Sacred Followers Guild had all been killed. All the powerful elders and captains of the Sacred Followers Guild were dead. Death of the Sacred Enforcers. Chapter 393, Cover Shame. Demise of the Sacred. When everyone saw the post uploaded by user All-Knowing, the entire underworld was thrown into upheaval. Demise of the Sacred. This was the demise of the Sacred. 7 inborn experts, along with 20 half-step inborns. These forces could easily have made up 1/5 to 1/6 of the entire Sacred Followers Guild, given such prowess. Yet they were also the same forces that had been completely wiped out. Without a doubt, they must have been killed by Miracle Dr. Wong of Rivertown. This is really unimaginable. Just how powerful is this Miracle Dr. Wong of Rivertown? Those were experts from the mighty Sacred Followers Guild, 7 of them to add to it. First, he killed the elder from the Sacred Followers Guild. Next, he slew 7 inborns from the same sect. He's out to pit himself against the sacred sect. How tough is this Miracle Dr. Wong of Rivertown, and how mighty are his forces? Within the underworld, the martial artists had spiraled into a heated discussion. The news was simply too shocking for all of them. Meanwhile, within the palace of the Sacred Followers Guild, all the elders sat in the palace hall with darkened expressions. 5 elders, 2 sacred enforcer leaders, and 20 half-step inborns have been killed. This Miracle Dr. Wong of Rivertown, he's bent on pitting himself against us, Sacred Followers Guild. An elder chided with a looming look. We've lost 7 inborn experts in one shot, 8 including Elder Fong. The Sacred Followers Guilds incurred such major losses within a short few days. We have to seek revenge for this. Right now. This concerns the pride of our Sacred Followers Guild, along with our foothold as to how we establish ourselves in the future. Hence, we have to wipe this humiliation clean. The elders chimed in furiously. This was a grave matter. It was no longer a matter of right or wrong, given the murder of 7 inborns and 20 other experts. As a sacred sect, they would have to get rid of the murderer by all means. We'll have to kill Miracle Dr. Wong of Rivertown. Yes, we'll have to. Otherwise, our Sacred Followers Guild won't ever have to think of gaining a foothold within the underworld from now on. All the elders snapped in aggression. Even Yen Shi, who had been sitting by the side, sighed as he knit his brows. 7 inborn experts had been slain. This was no longer a matter which could be forgiven out of kindness. Kill? Sending yourselves to your graves? At that moment, a holler could be heard across the entire palace. Who's that? Upon hearing those words, all senior management of the Sacred Followers Guild in the palace hall stood up with an ominous expression. Who's that? Show yourself. How dare you trespass into our Sacred Followers Guild, asking for doom? A frightening aura surged from the sect's senior management, which stifled the surrounding air. All right, why so snobbish? A voice replied in annoyance. Thereafter, an elder soon appeared within the hall at lightning speed. Sui Huang. All the elders of the Sacred Followers Guild gasped before they stepped up immediately and bowed. Sui Huang, what brings you here? They greeted. Had I not arrived, the entire Sacred Followers Guild could have been wiped out by the time old Huang gets back. Sui Huang replied with displeasure as he glanced across the crowd of elders. Sui Huang, you, the elders began in bewilderment. Slightly irritated, they looked at him with frowns. The Sui Huang in front of them had been a close friend of their guild leader. He was also the Laozu of a sacred clan, which made Sui Huang a legendary existence, one who they could not afford to disrespect. Just a few of you punks, and you want to go kill that behemoth of Rivertown? From what I see, I think it's best that you guys just stay here and behave yourselves, Sui Huang chided. Damn it, you guys are also asking for it. I just told that lad yesterday not to come and create trouble at the Sacred Followers Guild. In the end, you guys went over to seek death by harassing him. Sui Huang reprimanded them with displeasure. As he spoke, he sat flopped onto a seat by the side and sipped some tea. What? The crowd asked. They were puzzled and shocked by the comment. Regarding this matter, you guys should just stay out of it. Wait till I've contacted your guild leader and discussed this with him. To sum it up, just don't go looking for trouble with that little demon of Rivertown. Just you guys alone would be sending yourselves to your graves, should you go over? Sui Huang warned the rest. Just stay here and behave yourselves. As for old Huang, that old fogey, I couldn't reach him. Yet he's made me so worried. Pat, as Sui Huang ranted incessantly, he flung his cup onto the table in a display of his discontent. With a change of stance, he vanished from the palace hall, leaving behind the crowd of Sacred Followers Guild elders who looked on in surprise. What does Sui Huang mean? One of the elders asked in a lowered tone as his face contorted in bewilderment. Sui Huang has instructed that we leave that little demon alone. Seems like Sui Huang knows that Miracle Dr. Wang of Rivertown. Furthermore, that Miracle Dr. Wang of Rivertown is no simpleton. Either he really possesses formidable powers, or he's from a very prominent background, such that even Sui Huang Sr. has to treat him as someone with equal standing. That young man, don't tell me he possesses the same prowess as Sui Huang. Otherwise, why is it that even Sui Huang would refer to him as Little Demon? Shock gradually revealed itself on the faces of the Sacred Followers Guild elders. The message within Sui Huang's statements earlier had brought more surprises than they could handle, especially these sentences in particular. I just told that lad yesterday not to come and create trouble at the Sacred Followers Guild. In the end, you guys went over to seek death by harassing him. Don't go looking for trouble with that little demon of Rivertown. Just you guys alone would be sending yourselves to your graves should you go over. The messages hidden within had astonished them. Should that young lad really possess the same prowess as Sui Huang or guild leader, or come from an equal force, then Elder Feng really had it coming for using poison to attack his little sister. If that's the case, it's because of Sui Huang's intervention that the other party hasn't made his way here. Otherwise, to think that we'd go seek revenge without even knowing the situation? Haha. Yen, she laughed at the irony of the matter. Such was the pride of a powerful ancestral clan. Should others have killed one of theirs, a powerful ancestral clan would seek revenge with neither a care for the cause nor a concern about the consequences. Yet the Sacred Followers Guild had obviously compromised themselves by underestimating their opponent this time around. What do we do about the discussion that's spreading within the underworld? Surely we can't just sit back and do nothing? An elder asked with an awful look. After all, their reputation still mattered. Just come up with a random excuse, and we'll discuss this again when Guild Leader is back, another elder replied with a darkened expression. Silence filled the entire palace hall of the Sacred Followers Guild as the elders pondered in a daze. At night, the entire underworld was still discussing the massacre of the Sacred Followers Guild experts and disciples of various clans who had tagged along to Rivertown. Suddenly, the Sacred Followers Guild made an announcement. A group of experts from the Sacred Followers Guild have been attacked by ferocious sea monsters, of which only 3 of them have survived. As for other matters, they will be dealt with upon the return of the guild leader. Everyone within the underworld was dumbfounded by the news. What is the situation? The group of elders and sacred enforcers of the Sacred Followers Guild had not been massacred by Miracle Dr. Wang of Rivertown, but instead had been marred to death by ferocious sea monsters. While the news had been beyond everyone's expectation, most chose to believe in it after a brief moment of bewilderment. After all, this was an announcement made by a sacred sect, so they could not have made the story up in order to lie and conceal the truth. But what they did not know was that this was the final cover shame by the sacred sect. Chapter 394, Mutated Divine Dragon 1. They weren't killed by Miracle Dr. Wang from Rivertown, but based on all other objective signs. In an office in a skyscraper, a middle-aged man wearing a suit saw the reply from the Sacred Followers Guild on his computer screen, his eyebrows knitted together. Based on the information gathered by the personnel from their omniscient group, the experts from the Sacred Followers Guild, and the crowd that came to watch the show had not left the villa of Miracle Dr. Wang from Rivertown after entering it. As to what really happened, they couldn't be certain. Nonetheless, they were sure that these people were dead. Therefore, their omniscient group had announced the deaths of the experts from the Sacred Followers Guild, following the operatives of the group closely to ensure 100% reliability. They didn't confirm that those people were killed by Miracle Dr. Wong from Rivertown. Were they killed by savage beasts from the sea? Could it be that Miracle Dr. Wong has a dreadful and savage sea beast as a pet? Or could it be just like what the Sacred Followers Guild claimed, that the experts encountered an accident with savage beasts from the sea? At dawn, Rivertown was covered in a storm. Most of the truth was masked or washed away. Even the omniscient group found it hard to verify most of the information, and they weren't 100% certain. Nonetheless, a lot of martial artists felt more relieved at this point. If the experts from the Sacred Followers Guild had been killed by Miracle Dr. Wong from Rivertown, that demon-like existence would be truly too terrifying. At this very moment, within a cave abode deep in the mountains surrounded by flowers and birds. It was a luxurious and beautiful cave abode. A beautiful lady and a burly middle-aged man were sitting in the center. Before them, a group of middle-aged men stood upright and neatly. "Don't we have any news on Yaoquan yet?" The beautiful lady gritted her teeth and her eyes were a little red as she questioned the burly middle-aged man before the group of middle-aged men. "Madam, we still do not have information on young master at this moment. From what we gathered from the people around the Yellow River, we understand that young master had some conflicts with Miracle Dr. Wong from Rivertown. Subsequently, we found out that young master contacted the family head of the Lei family and the double-faced Heavenly Axe before his disappearance." The group of middle-aged men replied solemnly. The disappearance of Bien Yaoquan had caused a huge ruckus within the Medical Saint sect. The Bien branch of the Medical Saint sect was expending all efforts and resources to investigate. However, Bien Yaoquan and the Poison Duo had kept their actions completely secretive and hadn't told anyone about them. Miracle Dr. Wong from Rivertown. The burly middle-aged man sitting by the side frowned as his expression gradually turned heavy. With the Poison Duo around, even a strong first-class force would find it hard to erase them without leaving traces behind. This Miracle Dr. Wong from Rivertown. A gloomy light flashed in the eyes of the burly middle-aged man as he spoke bitterly. It had been close to half a month. His son had been missing for close to half a month. With Poison Duo protecting him, ordinary first-class forces would find it hard to kill them without leaving traces of clues behind. Based on the rumors of Miracle Dr. Wong from Rivertown over the last 2 days, he would likely possess such capabilities. Find out more about this Miracle Dr. Wong from Rivertown. I want every piece of information regarding him, instructed the burly middle-aged man. Yes, sect leader. The group of middle-aged men responded in unison before leaving. Qing Feng, Yaoquan will be fine. He will be fine, said the beautiful lady with teary eyes as she grabbed onto the arm of the burly middle-aged man. He will be fine. I'm Bien Qing Feng. No one dares to harm my son. No one dares. The burly middle-aged man tried to console the lady. He lifted his head and wore a stern and fierce expression. If anyone dares to, he will die no matter who he is. At night, a yacht was steering towards the sea from the villa connected to the sea. Brother, will you really be able to cure my master and me in the Dragon Palace? It was a little dark, and the heavy rain continued pouring. The group sat on the sofa of the yacht when Xiao Yu suddenly asked Wang Xian this. Of course, rest assured, brother will be bringing you to a place filled with miracles. Wang Xian nodded his head with a gentle smile. When night fell, Wang Xian decided to not wait any further. He got up and brought Xiao Yu and Elder Fong along as he steered towards the Dragon Palace. He planned to make use of the tremendous energy within the dragon transformation pool to transform the two of them into dragons and cleanse the venom lingering within their bodies. This was also his last-ditch attempt. Really? I didn't get to go the previous time, and I definitely have to make it up this time. It's a shame that the final examinations are coming up soon. I'll likely miss it this time. Xiao Yu was initially exhilarated, but soon pulled a long face as she spoke. The semester was coming to an end, and the final examinations would be starting soon. However, she would likely miss the examination. It's all right. I'll settle the matters about your examinations. Wang Xian smiled and shook his head as he continued. Where would you like to go for the winter holidays? I'll bring you around. Winter holidays. When Xiao Yu heard Wang Xian, her eyes lit up. I want to roam the entire country from the south to the north. For the summer holidays, I want to head overseas to play. Xiao Yu let her thoughts roam and revealed a satisfied and joyous expression. All right, when you recover, I'll bring you around. Wang Xian nodded his head, and Elder Fong beside him also smiled. Next to her, Guan Shuqing, Lan Qingyue, and Sun Lingxiu walked over. With a group of beautiful girls accompanying him, Wang Xian had a great time chatting and eating. Late at night, the yacht arrived above the Dragon Palace. Xiao Yu, Elder Fong, don't be too surprised in a while. Let's go. Wang Xian carried Xiao Yu and supported Elder Fong as he remarked. To the astonishment of the two girls, Wang Xian carried and pulled them along as they dived into the sea. When the majestic and awe-inspiring Dragon Palace appeared before them, the two girls were dumbfounded. Despite having heard about the Dragon Palace from Lan Qingyue and Guan Shuqing, Xiao Yu was still deeply astonished when she saw the incomparably huge Dragon Palace under the water's surface. The beautiful Dragon Palace made her feel innate respect and fear for it. It was especially so when they arrived at the Dragon Palace. Their eyes widened as they stared at the various huge structures around them. Swish, swish, swish. At this moment, several creatures swam towards Wang Xian. The first to arrive were the 9 venomous sea snakes. They remained stationary before Wang Xian in a respectful manner. Greetings, Dragon King. Greetings, Dragon King. At this instant, more and more creatures appeared, with each being more unique in physique than the last. They swam before Wang Xian, went down on one knee, and greeted him. Are these the crawfish soldiers and crab generals of the Dragon Palace? Xiao Yu's eyes widened in disbelief as she stared at the Dragon Palace members before her. Even Wang Xian was shocked as he looked at the crowd before him. The ones at the very front were the Anomalocaris and the Golden Swordfish race. At this point, the two races had undergone the baptism of the Dragon Transformation Pool. After the baptism, their form had undergone tremendous changes. The Anomalocaris was standing upright. Around them, bluish sparks glowed. 2 incomparably huge front limbs looked forceful and seemed to be hiding horrifying electric energy. The stature of approximately 5 meters looked extremely intimidating.